Peace. Salute. Salute to the good family. Peace, everybody. I hope everybody is doing well. Um, Sending infinite blessings, as always, to the good people. I hope that I'm finding you guys in good spirits. Hopefully, everything is okay with the family. Lovely to join you guys for another Sunday Cook, right? Give me 1 second. Let me just plug this in, make sure that I'm all charged and ready to go. 1 second. Just straightening out my little stuff here so we have no unexpected or sudden interruptions whatsoever, right? Infinite blessings to the good family. Let me check in to see who we got in the building. Now, firstly, I know that there is something of a football time going on here, right? Because I get reverberations of it on my Twitter feed or whatever have you. I do not watch football, you guys. I have no idea what games may be going on. I surmise that something is going on in football today or has been going on for however many Sundays it's been. With that particular sport, I have no idea what goes on in the football world, you guys. So I don't know if I'm impeding on anybody's time. Hopefully I'm not. And if I am sorry. But this is my time slot, like between the 5:30, 6 o'clock mark. So I just figured it is what it is. I did ponder about going on earlier. I also pondered about maybe possibly going on a little bit later, to accommodate those of the good family who watch their football. But you guys, listen, right? I just said, okay, 6 o'clock, 6:05, something around that time should be good enough for me because I don't want to keep you guys all night, right? So infinite blessings to the good family. And if it is just a few of us in the building today, I am okay with that, right? Because the most important thing is that the message is spoken. So infinite blessings to the good family. Let's see who we got in the building so far. Big salute to my twin, the lovely king, Daryl Anderson, first up in the building this Sunday. Salute to my twin. He says, salute to the beautiful queen, aka my twin Sugar Free. And salute to the rest of the kings and the queens in the chat. Infinite blessings, as always, to my twin Daryl. 10 toes on deck. And you already know to get them nines up in the chat, right? Put a 9 in the chat if you guys could hear me okay. Hopefully all is intelligible. Hopefully I am coherent on my end. Like I said, I was just checking my settings. Looks like I'm good on my end. Put a 9 in the chat if you guys can hear me, if everything is audible for you guys. And oh my goodness, big stepping with the love. Okay, my beautiful sis, Cami Cam is in the building. She says, sending love and light to my beautiful sis. We'll be catching the replay. Cook, sis. Thank you so much, beautiful sis. I hope you had a good weekend, and I hope you have a good time catching the replay on this cook that we're about to have today. Infinite blessings to my beautiful sister Cam, and please send my big love to Chiquila if she doesn't make her way in here, of course, right? Infinite blessings to my good sis. Oh my goodness, infinite blessings to the King Patrice X30 in the building. He says, salute to the one and only Sugar-Free Mars, spreading the truth from the earth to the stars. Oh my goodness, Patrice, always on deck with the eloquence, always with that wonderful energy that I love. Infinite blessings to the King Patrice. Thank you so much for carving out a bit of your Sunday to share with me for some good old boxing talk. I hope that you've been well, King. Thank you so much for blessing the chat. We got some love from the King Devo, who just simply put a crown in the chat and left it there. I'm okay with that, King Devo, because I feel you. Nothing else needs to be stated. Salute to the King Devo in the building, right? Oh my goodness. And speaking of the Queen Mama Love, Tequila Fields, here she is. She says, salute, beautiful warrior queen. Peace and love be yours. Thank you so much, Queen Mama Love. It's always wonderful to see you. I'm ecstatic to see you, actually, right? As always, week to week. Thank you so much for your constant grace, your constant support. Wonderful to see. you in the building. What did Patrice say here? Sorry, I got caught up looking at Patrice. Patrice says, after all that racism the NFL showed, fuck that raggedy league. Tell him, King Patrice. You know what I'm saying? But I know we got some dedicated, diehard, you know what I'm saying? People are really, really serious and adamant and vehement about their football. So, I know that those people are on that type of time. But yes, definitely concur with that, right? Definitely concur with the King Patrice on that one. Oh my goodness. Hold up, you guys. My brother, the King, as I call him, King. I say nothing else after his name. King is his name. All right? The King, Stephen X, is in the building. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is my brother. He says, peace and blessings, beloved Queen. Amazing connecting with you earlier. Yes, this is your time slot. Yes, me and my brother Stephen X connected, a couple of days ago on some wonderful ideas that we were, I guess, ruminating on, if you want to say that. We were kind of cultivating and brainstorming some ideas for some interesting things that we may have in the works for you guys, right? I'm going to keep it on the hush hush for now, right? Because it's still in its inception. But me and Stephen definitely are, orbiting some wonderful concepts that we want to possibly share with the good family. So keep an eye out for that. And infinite blessings, infinite love, infinite peace to the King, Stephen X. You already know what it is, King. Thank you so much for coming to join me. I appreciate you. Let's see who else we have in here. We have the Macadocious Mac of the South, 10 toes as per usual. All right, in the building, he says, salute Queen Sugar Free Mars. Blessings, my sister, on this Soul Sunday. Absolutely, King. Wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Here he go, my big brother, the Drew Titan LLC in the building. Shout out to the mighty LDBC, my good family, as always. And always love to my big brother, Drew. Thank you so much, King, for stopping by. Definitely appreciate you. Always have a smile on my face when I see you in the chat. My big bro, showing love and support as always. Oh my goodness, salute to the King. I am Trill Will in the building with the love. Wonderful to see you, King Trill. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. Big. Wonderful to see my brother. Oh my goodness, here he go. The King and the Coach Hudson, a.k.a. my number one comrade. 10 toes in the building this good Sunday. He says, salute to the Queen of Boxing Media, my number one comrade. Infinite blessings to the King and the Coach Hudson in the building. Happy to see my brother 10 toes on deck as always. And big love to the King Caldwell. Look at him with his little hearts and his little hand heart in the, thank you so much, King Caldwell, for that constant love that you show me all the time. I definitely appreciate you. Definitely excited to have you in the building. It's so wonderful to see the good family showing up. I definitely appreciate you guys. It always brings a smile to my face. Now, let's see what I wanted to cook on today, you guys. Interesting topic that I kind of, have been engaging with, I guess, throughout the week for us to discuss. Excuse me, you guys, I have a peppermint. You guys know how I get down. It's either a cinnamon or a peppermint. Today's is a peppermint. So excuse me for, hopefully I'm not trying to like gross you guys out with me taking care of this candy. But yes, anyway. Couple of things I've been engaging with you guys, and I didn't necessarily know how I wanted to approach this necessarily because it is, I guess I wanted a kind of interwoven discussion, as I always try to do. I like to tie things in, and I thought this was a really good avenue to take, and that is the I guess the aspect of things being proven in the sport, because I felt like that was a yes, twin, I really do. Okay, I got the cinnamon candies on deck and I got the peppermint candies on deck, and it quite frankly is a lifetime supply. It might as well be, twin, because I stay with my little stashes. You feel me? But anywho, Yes. So the element of being proven is a very, very interesting dynamic going on in my mind right now as I am gauging um, the landscape of boxing, just how things have been unfolding. And this element of being proven seemed fitting because it ties into not only a universal dynamic across boxing, right? Because the aspect of having to prove oneself is pretty much part and parcel of the sport. It's an intricate part of the sport. It's a immovable, undeniable aspect in boxing, right? The idea of being proven, but that it could also be very, very specific. We could also kind of laser in and see how this element of the idea of having to prove oneself or what gets proven within one's career, um, can be fine tuned, and we can put a magnifying glass on how this dynamic of proof um, is being applied to these fighters, if you will, right? So I think it goes without saying, as we have touched upon, I guess, sometime, frequently, right? The resounding, one of the resounding reasons, at least, why us boxing goers are so enamored by, so moved by, hold up, I just saw the king, my brother, the great Mike, walk into the building. Infinite blessings to the great Mike. Lovely to see you, King. Thank you so much for joining. Um, One of the reasons why we are so enamored by and moved by, right? One of the reasons why we are so tied to this sport that we love so much called boxing, right? Is because, of the way that boxing demands one to create oneself. That's kind of like where I would, create the umbrella. It's the way in which boxing demands that one create oneself. And to me, it's unique to boxing in that it's not like any other major sport. The way in which it is demanded of the athlete to create oneself, to display oneself, and essentially to prove oneself. It has a very unique place, this aspect of boxing, in my view, compared to that of the other major sports in the country, right? To me, it has a unique seat. It has an air that demands a seriousness, a vigor, and a motivation that is not seen in the realm of, let's say, just mere entertainment. When we think about the entertainment value and factor of sports, right? There is a vigor and a motivation behind boxing that is quite unique to me. And I think for me, it's definitely the drawing factor. Boxing pretty much heralds, the spirit of valor and courage. And it's similar to that. I would say, I would liken it to the warriors of old, right? I would liken it to the warriors of old. When we think about the idea of battle, warriorship, heart, courage, display, valor, masculinity, output, right? Domination. We liken things like that always to the warrior tribe, right? To the warrior cloth of whatever part of history had that level of spirit exemplified, right? Which is why I know I gravitate so deeply um, to this particular type of sport. Definitely know why a lot of people gravitate to it, right? This is why I am so drawn to the hearts of men and women in this game who, let's say, test themselves and who champion the spirit of the giants who indebted purpose and swag and grit and the pursuit of greatness in the sports foundation. Real talk, you know what I'm saying? Um, the pursuit really is where the merit begins, good people. The pursuit is where the merit begins for me. And the pursuit is the fruit, so to speak, right? The attempt of something, the pursuit of that greatness is the fruit that will bear all types of things, right? Because it is the pursuit that holds within it. It's within the journey that holds the seed. That is the place where you can be proven. It is only in the pursuit of something. You cannot do it from an idle disposition. You cannot do it recoiling from something. It's the pursuit, it's the action, it's the motivation. That's the seed. That's the seed containing life of all things that you want to get life to, right? It encompasses everything. The quest, the journey, your actions upon that particular road. It is only there that you can be proven. The output, the gusto. You have to make the attempt, in other words, ladies and gentlemen. Now, what stands to be proven along that journey, what stands to be, proven along that attempt, is full of all types of possibilities, right? You may discover on this particular journey that, in the ways in which you are a liability to yourself, to others, to your own potential, right? There may be some tumult that is demanded of you, that you go through in order to find out of what you are made, right? There may be levels of exposure on this journey that anybody without a strong stomach wouldn't dare to move beyond, right? But somebody of valor and heart and fire would be made of that particular type of thing. All types of things stand to be exposed about who one is within their attempt, within their pursuit to create themselves in this particular type of sport, right? There stands to be some wonderful revelations, nonetheless. Revelations about oneself stand to be had, which is the most important thing, the most important aspect to me, right? And what a fighter does with these things is further proof of their merit or simply of their deficit, which is also important to understand and to find out about oneself in one's journey. You must understand your deficits, your deficiencies, your insecurities, right? You have to come to know that about yourself as well. Any man and woman embarking on any life that they are living has to find that out. But that can only be had in pursuit of something. That is where you find that out, right? So the crazy thing is that I think there will always be a dance between, as far as the pursuit of something, when you are after something, I think there will always be a dance between the need to authenticate oneself as a fighter and the urge to assume or believe that one is already inherently supreme, right? So there's the need, in other words, to prove who you are, and there's the overwhelming belief that you are already that, right? It's kind of like the yin and yang dynamic, the opposite thing going on. But it's a dance that always happens. It always happens. It's kind of like a balancing act. The balancing of this is going to be a tedious undertaking, right? But it is definitely necessary, even though it's a fine line, because you don't want to go too far in seeking validation outwardly, externally. And you also don't want to go too far in, assuming a pompous, omnipresence of a disposition about yourself. It's a very precarious dance. It brings a level of precarity to one's journey, but it is absolutely necessary for you to make the attempt through this precarity. Everything in life is a tipping of scales, ladies and gentlemen, right? Go too far to the left, you over here. Go too far to the right. It's a balancing act. Boxing is no different, ladies and gentlemen, right? And I think that we have all been witnessing quite the balancing act going on in this particular sport for, several years. And especially, of course, as we're going to highlight this era that we are in within this particular era, with the new generation coming up. We have long witnessed fighters, brothers and sisters, defying all types of odds, standing at odds, not only with their competitors in the ring or whatever have you, but with themselves, right? We have witnessed people standing at odds with perceptions of who they are, the mythology surrounded by who some of these fighters are. We have seen them standing, in odds and defying odds as far as their own goals, personal and otherwise. We have seen them dealing with failures. All of this is part and parcel of creating yourself. And I am curious about what the larger boxing landscape perceives of the matter of proof, just in general. That's what I'm curious about. What does the boxing landscape think about the matter of proof when it comes to a fighter having to be proven and the levels of that? Let's say, for example, things like, how do we know a fighter has risen or has proven their stature worthy of a particular level of acclaim or not, right? Things like, how readily are assurances given out to fighters who've proven themselves, let's say, counterfeit, right? What does a fighter have to prove in order to gain protection from the body politic, if you will, despite what they have proven? But specifically when they have proven themselves to be unfit, non-representative of the integrity of the sport, things like that, right? Another matter is, let's say, do fighters endanger themselves if they lean too heavily towards public perception? And does that need for approval cause them to veer away from the mastery of competition, the mastery of themselves, the attainment of their own goals, because they get so caught up in their, acclaim or fabulous life or millions of dollars that they absolutely go batshit in other areas of their life, so that this area is so highlighted and so significant to the world that they start to seek, other external forms of stimulation, so that they can get away from the public eye, so that they can retire away from that level of acclaim. All of these things come to mind. So it's like, once you've proven something, are you trying to now prove that, I don't know, maybe you are still tied to a level of reality that you associate with trauma? All these things are interesting to me, you guys. I really went down a rabbit hole with this. And real talk, I see several aspects of, let's say, what's the word I would want to use? Complacency in the current dynamic of boxing. Some of it comes with the territory, right? Because everything stands to be refreshed. Everything is subject to change, right? There's always an interchange and balancing of energy. So I understand that there's a level of complacency that happens in anything in life that comes with the territory, right? But the part of it that is, in my view at least, that I have been seeing, the part of it in boxing that is, let's say, generating a sense of things like entitlement within the sport, things like carelessness, let's say a hyper focus on the bag, right? As we have covered time and time again, and we have heard, the wonderful brothers and sisters, highlight and speak on this obsession with the bag mentality, things like that. Things also like refraining from anything that would demand the solidification of your place as an athlete beyond mere, verbose claims that you are the best and nobody can touch me and you're not on my level and all this type of pompous ass mentality. That is the area in which I find there to be a huge deficit and drawback in boxing. And thankfully, it is not, I can't say that it is totally rampant, of course, but among some of the names that we find to be premier, it is definitely embedded. It's definitely an indentation that is large enough for me to, give my attention to it among the prominent names that we know, right? And I guess I wanted to highlight some of that today. Now, I think, um, I think that, you know, I don't think it was a better option for me to speak about today, um, first than Tank Davis. Now, I honestly was not going to, touch this particular subject at all. But, ladies and gentlemen, Tank Davis is on the run, y'all. And I just cannot for the life of me fathom what what the hell is going through this young brother's mind. Um, he is Tank Davis. He is what, we know him to be in the sport. Has been at the helm of the sport, if you will, for several years. And I think that we know him as that. But real talk, you guys, at the end of the day, he is he's a young brother. You know what I'm saying? And I'm looking at what is seemingly to be a spiraling into the depths of, I don't know. I don't even know what to call it. Honestly, I haven't had the desire to divulge at all my perspective on this for the months that he's been dealing, with the overall domestic related legalities and every other legality, you know, that is on his plate that he seems to be faced with. However, I'd be remiss, brothers and sisters, at this point to not acknowledge the whirlwind that is taking place, especially as somebody who did want to support him as vehemently as I did. Um, the whirlwind that's taking place and the reverberating, uh, you know, wave, I guess, that it's causing across the sport, right? Now, good people, I cannot for the life of me understand why it is that Purple Pain is out here making things as difficult as he's made them thus far, ladies and gentlemen. I'm astounded, by the lengths, first of all, by the lengths that this man is willing to go to in order to not be accountable for his actions. I don't understand that. Why he is going to these lengths to not be responsible for his own output. I just don't understand this. In order to not face accountability, he is going to the lengths of criminality. I just don't understand this, ladies and gentlemen. Criminality beyond what he's already generated. This man has unabashedly made himself into a felon simply by fleeing from the goddamn feds. Just in that light. Made himself a felon out here, ladies and gentlemen. A full-fledged felon? This man got the goddamn U.S. Marshals on his tail looking to reprimand him and bring him in. And this man is absolutely, fleeing. He's a fugitive, ladies and gentlemen. The Miami police have been looking for this man for however long they have been on their own turf, within their own jurisdiction. But that was absolutely to no avail, which has subsequently led them to take the measures of going beyond their own authority and to instead pull in the U.S. Marshals. Purple Pain has involved himself in a nationwide hunt at this point, brothers and sisters. Essentially, that's what's happening. a goddamn manhunt for this man. Does this man not comprehend the level of danger he is intentionally placing himself within with this behavior? All due to his own outrageous, erroneous sense of, lack of accountability, entitlement, immaturity, all of the above. What is really the gain here for this brother, ladies and gentlemen? I just need to know. What is this man proving? What is he proving? What's the gain for him? A man long considered in this sport to be one of the most prominent and promising young athletes of this era. What does he stand to gain? And what is he proving within these antics? This is a man that was, once looked upon to be, such a talent that they called him the face of boxing. This man was seen to have, the potential and the ability really to hold the entire future of the sport in his hands. What's going on? What does he gain from this level of bereft, counterfeit output that he incessantly indulges in as far as his activities outside of the ring? What does he stand to gain, and what has he already, stood to prove at this particular point, brothers and sisters? Moreover, what is the gain for his children? This man is a father. What do the kids gain by this? Potentially seeing their dad, God forbid, slain by the feds or something like that. You don't know what the hell can happen. You a black man out here. What is going on? They've done worse to people for way less things. Why are you playing with yourself like with your life, the lives of your children? What do they gain? Is their gain watching their father be chained up like some goddamn animal and hauled off to prison? Not being able to kiss him over breakfast, not being able to talk to him, not being able to see him at will? Is that what the kids stand to gain? I do not understand what was worth this particular sacrifice in the mind of Tank Davis. I don't know what he was measuring. I don't know what he was balancing on the scales. And I do not know what he is trying to prove by, assuming this level of irresponsibility and immaturity. Tank Davis has a history of, turbulence, recklessness, if you will, violence against women that at this particular point cannot be denied, as uncomfortable as it is to discuss. For me particularly, right? I know a lot of people have already divulged their views or their perspectives on this. I have always refrained away from it, and it's not an easy subject to cover. And I'm not one to just open up people's lives on, a platter or whatever have you. But I felt that it was, bleeding in so thoroughly into boxing that I wanted to kind of, bring a light to that particular avenue and aspect of it, right? Because no matter how much we've rocked with this man over the years, no matter how much we've appealed to his boxing talent and potential, one cannot deny that there is a troublesome trail that follows this brother, that he creates. And it is definitely impeding upon the sport, and it long has been, even though much of it has been, I guess, if you will, not swept under the rug because it's always been public, but that, we never really held him to the stake for. He's always been forgiven for, in other words, right? We kind of let lying ducks lie, if you will, on that and said, okay, well, just, get back to boxing, put on a phenomenal performance, sell out, you know what I'm saying? Have crazy pay-per-view numbers, and, we're back to love and tank again, right? I think it's moved beyond that right now, brothers and sisters. Um, like I said, I never penetrate into the personal lives of fighters, and I'm sure that we are all privy to the gory details of those particular charges against him with that recent situation, and even of the past ones, right? But I will posit that this man is obviously not mentally stable. He is not necessary. He's not mentally stable to be, an outlaw at this particular point. That's what he's created himself to be, a fugitive and an outlaw by every stretch. And perhaps he's never been mentally stable, brothers and sisters. That's also something that I had to ponder with myself in looking at these details and reportings surface, right? These expressions are simply, a revelation of his interior life, real talk. This output that we are watching, it's a reflection of what's going on within his mentality. And as far as boxing is concerned, I don't consider him at this point to be a boxer. Like, that's just not, I'm not looking at him as that right now. And seeing this man flee from the scene and seeing him, post, and what is he doing? Playing in the faces of the public, going on, I guess that was Instagram. I saw somebody post this on Twitter. I didn't even see it on Instagram, but somebody had reposted an image of him looking like he in the goddamn closet, something like that, dancing and playing around. Meanwhile, he got the whole feds on his tail. What is this a good time for this man? What is going on? You dancing in a goddamn closet? It's just wild out here, you guys. It's absolutely astounding to me. Meanwhile, there's a whole manhunt happening to find this brother. It's crazy work. So much so that I cannot consider him, an active, serious fighter. It's just, he cannot hold that title anymore. I haven't considered him an active, serious fighter for months, quite frankly. In lieu of everything that's been unfolding, from the way that he's behaved. Let's say you guys remember after the Lamont Roach fight, you know what I'm saying? To the issue that he had with the other mother of his child that he had. I think that was around June. And then he also had the legalities of the hit and run with the pregnant woman. I mean, what is this man, what has his behavior been proving? Then this man ran into, he ducked, a viable fight, a real fight in the rematch with Lamont Roach, running into the arms of goddamn Jake Paul for an exhibition fight. Now this is a whole nother woman who he mollywopped upside the head. What is this? It's absolutely been a mess without end, brothers and sisters, for the past year in watching this man. Crazy. And you know what else I noticed? That despite the drama-filled, rampant, just unabashed, crazy ass output, it really is a level of dement that is going on with that man, neurosis even, right? Even as dramatic and out of control as this man's moves and antics have been for him personally, with all the legal, troubles that he's been piling up behind him, despite all of that, good people, has anybody else noticed that it's been curiously suppressed in these boxing streets as far as like the reportings of it? Not that these things have not been public. I am talking about the boxing world's participation in discussions around this, in the promotion of the news, the phantasm, if you will, the fantasy rather, around it, a fetishizing of Tank Davis's, not that I want him to be scandalized in such a way, right? But it's I find it to be very quiet that there isn't enough dialogue going on, serious dialogue held around these antics, around this drama. Anybody else notice that? A shock and a scandal of this magnitude back to back to back to back with one athlete in a matter of months? In a matter of a whole, a calendar year? Scandal after scandal? Illicit activity and behavior after illicit activity and behavior, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, this is a beloved fighter, is he not? The face of boxing, the sellout, king of pay-per-views at once upon a time is what he's alleged to be. He's a beloved fighter, and he is involved in a national manhunt, brothers and sisters, fleeing from the goddamn U.S. Marshals. Why isn't there more of an outrage? And you guys know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. When we think in terms of comparisons, when we do a comparative analysis of what was once deemed or made to be a scandal, and how the reception of those particular things far superseded the backlash and the outcry and the fanfare that Tank Davis is receiving. And he has the whole, a federal United States agency on his tail. Why isn't there more of an outrage around this? Why isn't there more of a storm around this? Generally speaking, why isn't there more of an outreach to him even? Has anybody tried to reach this man? Where is his team? It's surprisingly hush out here, brothers and sisters. It's almost like people don't want to really open that particular bag. People are placating. People are subduing the issue across social media. Has anybody noticed that? Yeah, they'll share an article or two about it, right? Oh, this is the latest whatever. But then it kind of is just left at that. Nobody's peeling back any layers. Nobody's even asking really any questions. Not nobody, but just of that particular, of the larger landscape, not with the conscious boxing family and community. Because we definitely have been posing our questions. It's as if, people want to assuage the pressure. They want to diminish the severity and the weight of what's going on around this young brother and mitigate in some way, a full level of responsibility of his actions. They want to mitigate that. That's what it seems to me, and it's highly bizarre. Brothers and sisters, I've seen fanatics literally trying to cope across social media. I'm not sure if you guys have. Actually, the good family, yes, I'm sure you guys have, right? We've seen it for months. People having gone to the length of blaming, for example, blaming the woman who is alleged to be the victim of the assault by Tank Davis. This is the type of responses that he has been getting from these fanatics in effort to assuage, any level of pressure that they may see coming his way. They blame the woman who was allegedly assaulted. I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, outrightly deeming her to be a liar, brothers and sisters. Y'all seen it. Oh, she's a liar. That article ain't real. Why didn't they drop the footage? Where's the proof? Speaking of proof, look at the things that they are asking to be proven. Meanwhile, his actions don't seem to be proving enough that he is unfit and in need of some serious alignment and mental evaluation and help. That's what's proven there. People outright outrightly denying that the footage of the assault even existed on video. You guys remember what Jake Paul stated that, upon making the decision to cancel the fight, he had requested to see the footage and stuff like that. And he vouched for what he saw. And Tank, Fanatics lambasted him, called him all types of liars. And, these articles ain't real. And no, there's no footage that, nothing happened. Where's the footage? I won't, where's the proof? That got to be proven to me. Right? These people assumed a level of dement, brothers and sisters, that caused them to have a literal aversion to documented facts and aversion to reality. As a coping mechanism, as a way to bypass having to, deal with the fact of this man's behavior. Or because you don't want to believe that this man had done something that he already had a goddamn history of committing. This ain't news. Not the first time he's been involved in illegality, and let alone one surrounding, domestic violence. There are people in these boxing streets that I have seen or come across, that simply cannot cope with what's happening with Tank Davis. And so they will not acknowledge it as reality. They cannot place him, in other words, it seems to me, at the center of any level of accountability and culpability. That's where the difficulty lies for these people. Oh no, Tank Davis, I'm a fan of him. I bought his pay-per-views. I'm a fan of how he rocks his jeans. I'm a fan of, his representation of street life or whatever, the pulling and drawing factor is for these people. I like you, therefore I will not deal with your culpability in this. I will not make you accountable for this. He simply cannot be responsible for this. It looks to me that many of these so-called supporters of that mentality, that is, these supporters of him, share the exact same mental deficit as he does. Right? And that is the inability and unwillingness to assume responsibility. Right? Like begets like, as the saying goes. Now, honestly, outside of the conscious boxing spaces, as I had mentioned earlier, the brothers and sisters, the conscious spaces, there aren't many media platforms fully divulging the topic, brothers and sisters. Not that I have seen, from my own view, which led me to not, be able to bypass. I just could not help but to draw, my own comparative study and analysis, from the firestorm that was created, not too long ago around Devin Haney when he was cheated by Ryan. Now, when I say firestorm, you know exactly what I mean, because, the attention that incident drew, right? The leniency that was extended to Ryan, the victimizing that was had of Devin Haney, who had himself been cheated, brothers and sisters, was absolutely insane. Yet here we are in a situation where Tank Davis is undoubtedly, at the center of some illicit and now criminal on a national level activity. And he is barely getting, any, chatter around it, any discussion or dialogue really given to this, any judgment from the larger boxing community. It's absolutely astounding to me. Anybody else engaging with that? I could not help but to draw a comparative analysis between these two things, brothers and sisters. It was natural for me. I just couldn't help but, it just kind of came like, okay, well, nobody is talking about this, but, you guys are scared to put, blame and to, put weight on or attention, even if it's not blame, but attention on this particular thing. Meanwhile, you guys have lambasted, castigated, disavowed goddamn Devin Haney for being motherfucking cheated by a filthy drug cheat. He was the bad guy. He was somehow unfit as an athlete because he was done wrong. That scandal had absolutely turned boxing news on its head, brothers and sisters, at that time. That whole Devin Haney situation with the Ryan Garcia. Opinions were replete across the boxing landscape, just busting out the goddamn scenes. We couldn't keep people from talking about it, highlighting it. There was full participation from every corner, whether you were a detractor, whether you were a supporter. You know, we had all types of fighters chiming in about how coming in overweight didn't matter, right? Devin couldn't take a left hook. He's soft for suing. PEDs don't have no effect on no fight. No, PEDs don't matter. Everything didn't goddamn matter when it came to Devin. He's the one that's getting castigated left and right, torn asunder for having been the victim of a cowardly move on the part of Ryan Garcia and his whole team, right? We couldn't turn the faucet off of all that noise, the way that stuff was in circulation, all types of propaganda, generative gains that were had off of, you know, that particular situation. It was unrelenting for a year straight. Facts or no, brothers and sisters? Just the topic of that alone. Unrelenting for a year straight. Everybody's opinions were tied to that. Yet curiously, here we are witnessing something that has reached the level of a felony being committed on the part of Tank Davis. Somebody who was touted as the face of boxing. Something that involves the law, a federal agency of the United States on a national search for this man. And somehow it's eerily silent. Comparatively speaking, that is. Just think about the two in your mind. Let's do a juxtaposition. Let's do a compare and contrast here, ladies and gentlemen. It is eerily silent. What did Devin prove at that time? Other than he was just trying to, you know, embark on some legacy, uprightly, cleanly, effectively. That's all he wanted to prove at that moment in time. He was done wrong. Yes, it received, wide level attention to it, as it should have, though it necessarily wasn't for the right reason, right? But that he was the recipient of backlash for uprightness is the comparison that I am drawing. Yet Tank Davis is at the heart of a real huge scandal, a dangerous scandal. And we barely get the boxing world placing blame. Where is the castigation on this side? Because it's surely needed. Where is the reprimanding of Tank Davis's behavior? Where is the judgment passed on his behavior? Not that I want him to be, more victimized than he's already made himself, but where is the public outcry? Where is the participation of any sort comparative to that of what Devin Haney was getting for something that he didn't commit? He committed no crime. But it didn't stop people from lambasting this man unabashedly. You understand? Resonate on that. So, the assaulting of women isn't enough to generate a conversation. Is that what's being proven within the boxing world? What is the larger boxing landscape proving? These types of conversations don't have a place. so long as it's somebody long beloved or deemed a favorite or favorable over another. Is that what's being proven by the lack of conversation and discussion being had around this? A man leaving his children behind on account of his own mental and spiritual deficiencies and inadequacies isn't enough to dedicate some intellectual discourse around? Is that what the larger boxing community is proving? Via their silence, compared to that of how hastily they sought to chime in and castigate Devin? So when it's not concerning, let's say the gascinating about jewelry, gascinating about his fashion, his cars, the boasting about things like that, who he's better than. When it's not involving things like that, then you want to shield him from the light. But any other time, it's good. You want to shield him from the light. When it gets too real, is that what's going on? You want to shield him from any type of divulgence and revelation as far as dialogue is concerned, and placing accountability where it belongs? Very odd to me. Lastly, brothers and sisters, on this particular topic, it's also been reported that Tank Davis, I came across this on Twitter, I want to say yesterday or something like that. He's been made the champion in recess by the WBA, which was so interesting and funny to me. Because in my view, Tank Davis should absolutely be stripped completely of that particular type of strap. The strap should be taken away from him, right? He's a champion. He holds a championship strap. He should be stripped completely, right? The leniency that's being extended to this man is absurd, brothers and sisters. I have to be frank about that at this particular point. He did not there is no way that we could overlook this. He didn't trip over somebody's foot, and just, happen to not say, excuse me. This is a serious, serious offense here, all around. Everything that encompasses this scandal with this brother. And it's culminating into a hailstorm right now. And to simply place him as a champion in recess is absolutely diabolical to me. This man is bound to be captured by the feds. He's bound to be apprehended at some point. So I don't know what the holdup is. I don't know what would make them decide that. I've never heard of, jail time and sentencing and a national motherfucking manhunt being seen, as among the things that allowed for one to be deemed a champion in recess. I've never heard it, that these things were among those particular requirements. Oh, you got to be sick. There has to be a medical situation, some type of, I don't know, injury or something like that. Oh, by the way, if you want a national manhunt, and you're a legitimized felon, oh yeah, we also begin. I ain't see a legitimized felon on the goddamn list for a champion to be in recess, brothers and sisters. What is going on with the WBA? I've never been privy to that being a requirement in order to hold status within the sanctioning body, that, oh yeah, a felony, you got charges up against you and you're running from the law, an outlaw, fugitive from the law, deems you worthy also of being a champion. What's going on here? Champion recess. What is this? It appears that the WBA, brothers and sisters, just quite frankly, is more concerned with their gains off of Tank Davis than they are with any semblance or shred of integrity for their own sanctioning body, and of course, as a whole, for the sport. They are more concerned with their gains, what can be gained from him, even in such a demoralizing, dehumanizing position that he finds himself within. It's like they're saying, after all, why bypass the opportunity to bleed Tank Davis dry, right? That's what it seems to be to me, right? Why miss an opportunity to bleed Tank Davis dry while he is drowning in legal fees, drowning in the looming reality of jail time. Let's still get our money, baby. Shit. We still got money to make, right? As sad as that is to say, it's precisely what Tank Davis gets. It's precisely the place that he placed himself within. So this is no cry of sorrow, no cry of woe on my part for him. It's just an acknowledgement, because the cycle is vicious no matter which angle you approach it from, brothers and sisters. This is what he propelled. This is what he perpetuated and fostered for himself, unfortunately. The reality is, I don't think that this man, as I said earlier, I don't think that he belongs in boxing. And quite frankly, I do not think that he belongs anywhere other than within some form of rehabilitation of some kind. That's the only place that he belongs. If it's not dealing with a level of rehabilitation, I don't know what the hell, this man don't belong there, right? The jail time, obviously, he can't bypass, because when he's caught, that's it. You know what I mean? But hopefully along the journey, some rehabilitation of some kind can be had for him. I don't know. Mentally, spiritually, it's definitely needed. He's obviously, crestfallen, right? Has been dealing with that for a long time, likely dealing with all types of problems, right? Myriad problems that stem back, even way back probably into his upbringing. I wouldn't be surprised, right? Things that he has not dealt with. And he's given a little bit of insight into that, right? The hard life that he's had, wanting to be softer for his girls, things like that he has divulged. So I'm sure he's dealing with a whole bunch of things, that stem back to his upbringing, even including, his own views about women, stemming back all the way into his past. This man has some serious shit that he got to deal with, y'all. Views on women, his concept of the feminine principle as a whole are among the things he has to rehabilitate himself within and for and through. How he perceives himself. The tumult between he and his mother that he has shared publicly. Having to survive on his, essentially, on his own, and with the kindness of outsiders like Calvin Ford, who, obviously who became his family, right? But that the home life with him, the family life, was virtually non-existent. He also had to survive via an aggressive mentality, not only in having to survive as a young boy with the whole situation with the drugs and the stuff with his family, with his mom particularly that I know of, right? On the streets and having to defend himself, I guess. But that he also took on a profession, brothers and sisters, that required him to assume an aggressive mentality in addition to an aggressive environment, aggressive conditions that he was dealing with, right? And whatever he assumed, as far as a boxer or fighter mentality, which certainly made him into a formidable athlete, it was still an aggression that, let's say, inadvertently went unguided as far as, his emotional development. That's quite possible, brothers and sisters, for the reason why this man is outlashing this way. It's definitely layered. And, one can only sit back in observance and wonder, what will become of all of this, right? So I don't know what, that's as far as I will venture, the rest will speak for itself. Whatever happens, happens. I just know that this man is, placing himself in highly threatening positions as far as the law is concerned, in running away, in disappearing. I think I saw something on Twitter where, some fans had spotted him at a gas station. Was that recent? Did you guys see that across social media? I had come across a clip on Twitter where, he was putting gas in his car and some fans, just spot him. So, they want to take pictures with him, whatever have you. And, he was gracious enough, to my surprise, to stop and take like 2 pictures. I think whoever was recording and somebody else had run up to him and he kind of quickly, moved closer to the camera so they can get the photo. Child, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. It's mind blowing. Like I said, watching this man allow things to get to this level. It's bad enough everything that was already at hand with this man. His actions were absolutely disgusting. With this woman who has brought up charges on him, alleging the assault, with the footage that is said to exist, showing and backing up every claim that she made, right? The Miami police had backed and verified her statement, her police report, her initial police report. It corroborates completely with the footage that was attained of the particular incident. So, all of this is already working against you. And you are just compounding and compounding and compounding, brothers and sisters. I don't know what to say to that, brother, except, whatever happens will happen. That's it. It's quite unfortunate. As we could say what we want about, Tank Davis or the fights that we didn't get to see. We could be upset about him for that. But, I don't want to see any brother place themselves within that position. It's just unfortunate. And it's a proving of his mentality. What he has proven to me is that he definitely has a level of immaturity that I cannot say is irreparable, because anything is possible. Anybody can work through anything if they will themselves to get through that. But what he has proven up until this particular point is that a level of accountability via these particular actions that he's shown, not only this year, not only in the previous year, but for the several years that he has been dealing with these types of outputs or displaying this type of output and behavior. He's proven to me that, I don't know, he's got some serious work to do, and that boxing is not a priority in his life. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Tank Davis. What do you guys think about this, you guys? I know a lot of people have been talking about it. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. The conscious community has definitely been highlighting this, over the weeks, over the months and stuff like that. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Did you guys get to read any official articles? Did you see the footage of the newscast that they held in across some Florida news networks and stuff like that covering this? Did you guys get a whiff of that? It's definitely unfortunate to see, especially somebody that we feel a closeness to, in to whatever capacity. We know Tank Davis. We have watched Tank Davis. We have basically and essentially watched him grow up in the sport. So this is quite an unfortunate situation. Peace to the brothers and sisters who I may have missed who came in. Let me scroll up and see. I'm going up a ways, you guys. Give me 1 second. Let me see who's in the building. Salute to the King Nugs in the building. I see you, King. Thank you for joining. My beautiful sis, the Queen Tay in the building. Hey, beautiful sis. Lovely to see you. Salute to the King J-Rock. Let's see who else we got in the building, or let's see what you guys been talking. Oh, my beautiful sister Bella is in the building. Salute to you, Queen Bella. Salute. Yes, King Stephen. He is definitely on the run on his goddamn Jay-Z and Beyonce shit. It's like, what? Who wants that perfect love story anyway? This man is on the goddamn run, y'all. What is this? Yes, Coach Hudson. I wouldn't be surprised if it absolutely goes to trial. I don't understand it. I really just don't understand it. It's so beyond, my reasoning that I can't grasp why he would let it escalate to this point and to this degree, brothers and sisters. It does not make sense. Turn yourself in. You should have been done that. You should have never allowed it to get to the point where the Miami police have to go in and bring in the big guns, literally, in calling the U.S. Marshals. Are you crazy? Are you out your mind? Does he think it's a movie? I was astounded in watching, what was that, earlier this week or sometime last weekend or whatever, whenever that happened, somebody posted, this man had popped up on Instagram, looking like he's stunting and, dancing and posing in a goddamn closet. I'm like, what is this? What is this? Knowing that there is a national manhunt out for your head? Nothing in the world can make that make sense to me. You are a father, brother. What are you doing? What example is this for your children? Crazy work. The twin says, Tank has money for the best lawyers. Turn yourself in and let your lawyers do their thing. Word. I mean, and if he does get some lawyers or whatever have you, he's making their jobs the most difficult thing on the planet. I'd hate to be his lawyer. He couldn't call my ass up if I was a goddamn lawyer. Nope, not defending this. Because how can you? What you on Instagram dancing in your goddamn closet in your damn drawers? Just having the time of your life, not a care in the world, dancing in your damn closet. What is this? Doesn't make sense. Salute to the king, NBA D Nice in the building. I see you. The great Mike says, they still out there copping pleas for Tank. Big time. Right at this very moment. My beautiful sister Bella says, Tank's career is over as we know it. Now he's the champion in recess and boxing moves on. Child. Indeed. Indeed, sis. It's wild. Salute to the king, Snoopy in the building. I see you. Salute to the king, the key of life in the building. He says, where in the heck is this little dude hiding with the Smurfs? Oh my God. I guess so. He may be. You know what I'm saying? He may be with the Smurfs, the goddamn dwarfs. I don't know where this man is hiding. In somebody else's goddamn closet? I don't know what's going on with this man. But he's definitely taking cover. He's fleeing and taking cover. It's insane. Yes, King. As I have said and as I have felt for quite some time, I absolutely concur here. He says Tank doesn't need boxing. He needs therapy. Infinite blessings to my brother, the king, Blue Blood Sports in the building. Infinite blessings to you, King. Thank you so much for dropping by. I appreciate you always. Always wonderful to see the King Blue in the building. Yes. Yes, King Mike. They've definitely been on a roll with that coping mechanism that I have been seeing reverberating, permeating the social media streets has been wild, right? My Queen Mama Love says the machine is probably advising Tank as we speak. It's obvious his time in boxing is dwindling. Therefore, they're going to keep him away from the judicial system until they've drained him. Crazy work. Crazy work. I'm just, oh, my beautiful king is in the building. Hey, beautiful King BF. Wonderful to see the beautiful king in the building. Salute to the king, the God, BFTB. Infinite blessings to the king. Always happy to see my king in the building. Thank you, King. I appreciate you. What else does the king say? The king says, I honestly, at this point, don't even give a fuck what happens to this dude at this point. I mean, anything that he brings on has been brought on by himself. He's absolutely culpable for every outcome, that he garners at this point. It's been a diabolical, tumultuous trail that this man has been leaving behind, and a definite complicated road that he's been paving for himself. And I do not understand it for the life of me, why he's allowed things to compound the way that he has. It doesn't make sense, especially if you are a man that cares about your life and the lives of your children, if nobody else, than babies. Nothing in the world can make me be so reckless, as to not consider the lives of my babies. It's just not, nothing in the world can make me do that. You know what I mean? They will always be put first. And I just see a level of carelessness that even relegates his children to second place, when it comes to his whims, when it comes to, let's say, his anger issues, his emotional tumult, and all types of things, the things that he hasn't necessarily found a way to work through on a mental level. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate to behold and witness. You know what I mean? Um, let's get on. Let's get on to another matter that I wanted to discuss, ladies and gentlemen. That one was quite heavy. Let's move into this one. Now, I'm not sure if the good family have had a chance to hold on, let me move this off my screen because it's kind of blocking my view. Here we go. I'm not sure if the good brothers and sisters have managed to see the face off with Shakur and Teofimo Lopez. I shared a post on my community page a few days ago, just kind of touching base with the good family. I wanted to see what your thoughts were concerning the hush, the lull, in the boxing world, just in general, as far as the attention and the attraction factor of this fight, and how it's virtually non-existent, and has been for ever since its real talk, ever since its announcement, and definitely in the lead up. We are only what, week and a half removed from that particular fight, and it's still goddamn a ghost town out here. As far as people talking about this fight, it's crazy how silent it is. And I touched base with a good family, got some really interesting perspectives, you guys. Oh my goodness! If you guys didn't get a chance to catch that post or chime in on that post, definitely do so. Go check out the comments that some people were extending to the dialogue, to the conversation. Wonderful feedback I got from the good family, who gave their thoughts on, I guess, the level of reticence being shown or given towards this fight. Interesting stuff. But, despite that, I definitely wanted to check in to see the face off because, like I said, I think this is a fight that is worthy of course, some focus and some attention. It's definitely the biggest fight as far as, what's on paper for Shakur Stevenson, 1000%. And I could say it's definitely among Teofimo's biggest fights, of course, I would say after Lomachenko. And of course, let's say Josh Taylor and stuff like that. This is a big fight for Tio as well, but it's certainly a very premier fight for Shakur Stevenson and his resume, right? So I definitely wanted to take a peek at that face off and just gauge with the dynamic. I was not going into that, little it wasn't even long, that face off. I wasn't going in expecting anything, brothers and sisters. I just wanted to kind of get the lay of the land, so to speak, because the initial presser, if you guys recall, that these men had, what was that, a month ago or so, was so goddamn tepid, so bland, so subdued. I don't even know what the fuck to call it. There was absolutely no energy, no engagement whatsoever between those two men at the initial presser. And I think that this face-off is actually taped after the presser. So I wasn't going in there expecting, any type of fireworks, so to speak, right? But I guess I just wanted to see what was going to be spoken about in a controlled setting, in an intimate space that was outside of the realm of, a huge press conference and stuff like that. I wanted to see what they would say one-on-one, right? Which is the basis of their face-off. I definitely got a chance to look at that, and I I must say, good people, what a weird how do I put this? What a weird and odd um dynamic that was going on there. So that the weird energy that I saw in the press, it definitely trickled into this particular setting, in that it was definitely subdued. It was definitely muted, right? The energy was muted. Um, no real level of engagement that I guess would galvanize further interest in the fight. But there were some things that I did find interesting nonetheless, right? Um, it seemed to me that even though it was kind of a subdued exchange, there still were some things that were working simultaneously, um, that caught my eye, right? Even though there wasn't necessarily that much particularly going on or particularly jarring that I could call out. Definitely was some interesting factors at hand. Definitely hard. I don't know how to describe it. If you guys didn't see it, you know, go check it out. But if you did, then you probably get where I'm going with that, right? It wasn't necessarily jarring, but that there were some interesting things that I guess we could pull from it. Now, I guess off top, one of the things I can call out was, that was obvious at least. T.O. was definitely very reserved. And when I say very reserved, because of course the landscape was just, it was kind of subdued between both of them, but T.O. looked particularly reserved, right? Not only in demeanor and within his tonality, right? Like how he was speaking, but just in his delivery as a whole, his body language was reserved. Um, almost careless, if you will. He seemed almost completely unfazed, in other words, by Shakur Stevenson. Did you guys notice that? He seemed completely unfazed by Kaur. There was a placidity that pretty much went unchanged for the entire interview, except for one particular moment that I will speak on in just a bit. But for the duration of the interview, he was absolutely placid, right? Calm, still, even, which was crazy. I did not get the sense that T.O. at all is worried about this particular battle. That's generally what I got from T.O. He is not moved by, and I'm not saying that he is not like training or serious about it, but there was no worry in him. There was no ruffling of his energy at all that I saw, right? So, in fact, I think that some of his calm attitude was, I think, maybe set out to unravel Shakur in some particular way. That may have been just a tactic in and of itself, right? Which he was successful at unraveling Shakur at a particular moment, which I'll also divulge for the good people. I don't know if you guys peeped it, but it may not have come across as, let's say, something of a big thing to make a big deal of to somebody watching from a topical surface. But I definitely noticed several moments where T.O. checked Shakur or ruffled his feathers in one way or another. Now, one such example was where Shakur was, he seemed to be trying to denote what T.O.'s style was compared to that of Zepeda. Okay, so he was doing like a comparison between T.O. and Zepeda, and there was a moment where T.O. eerily looked, he kind of stopped Shakur and from continuing on with the statement. And he said simply to Shakur while looking him in the face, "Don't try me. Don't try me," is what he told Shakur Stevenson in a very stern, very not necessarily, it was aggressive, but it was a quiet aggression. Don't try me. Like, don't talk about me next to no goddamn Zepeda. Like, you know better than that type of energy, which was interesting. Because that was really, Shakur kind of, it kind of made Shakur not retract his statement, but rephrase it and attempt to clean it up. In a particular way, he attempted to clean up what he had said, which was interesting to me. I think that was a moment where Shakur should have put more pressure on Teofimo Lopez, if I'm going to be honest, because that was the only moment in the entire interview where T.O. look to be, stern or to show a level of some type of seriousness. Even if the aggression was quiet, that was the only moment where he looked to like say, hey, stay in line, right? But Shakur didn't apply pressure in that moment, which is what I found to be interesting. In addition to after being checked in that moment by T.O., not trying to clean up his statement. I just didn't know what that was about on Shakur's part, right? He didn't like being compared to Zepeda. I would have thought that Shakur would have put the stove on him in that moment. Like, yeah, you ain't show me a motherfucking thing that was worthwhile ever compared to that of Zepeda. You wouldn't be able to beat Zepeda. And nothing that you've ever done, would lead me to assume that you can come close to even Zepeda's level. And what? Yeah, I said that, nigga. And what? Shakur didn't do that. He didn't take that out upon seeing T.O.'s feathers get ruffled. I would have thought that he would have applied pressure to that. But Shakur chose to rescind his heat, brothers and sisters, which was interesting. Did you guys see that part? Very, very interesting dynamic there, you guys. I know that probably may come across as a minute detail, but things speak. Things speak, even if they are spoken quietly. Okay? I thought that was a very interesting moment there. That, like I said, that was the only moment in the entire interview, brothers and sisters, where T.O. actually got, heavy in his energy, that is, right? That's the only moment where he kind of sort of poked his chest out a bit. And in that moment, Shakur Stevenson backs down, didn't decide to apply pressure. I can't help but wonder if this dynamic is going to be a factor in the fight, right? In some particular way. Now, T.O. seemed to me, to back Shakur Stevenson into places that he wanted him to be in this interview. And even in what other interview was that where he was talking about the mentality? I think they were on somebody's podcast right around the time of the presser as well. They went on somebody's podcast and he was telling Shakur Stevenson about Keyshawn and how he's never gonna, how you supposed to be great if you calling, Keyshawn your brother. He was kind of checking Core in the lead up to these things. And here it was again in this particular face-off showing, that same level of moving Shakur around where he wanted him, right? So another example of that was when both men were asked by the host something to the degree of, well, what do you want the public's perception to be of you should either of you win this fight, right? So T.O. was asked, well, what do you want the public to think of you, if you win? And T.O.'s response was interesting because it was totally dismissive of the public's judgment of him, right? He didn't want to place any responsibility, the weight of judgment, or anybody's thought of him above himself. That's kind of how he responded. And this is a quote from T.O. when he was asked that question of what he wants people pretty much to think about him after it's all said and done if he's victorious. And T.O. said, quote, "People say a lot of things, man. People say whatever they want. That's the thing. They gave people the control or power of a narrative of what mattered. And it doesn't really matter. I don't care what people tell me or what they say after this. I don't care. Just tune in, just watch. That's it. Just tune in, watch, see the fight, and you can go from there. But I can't stop. I'm just not going to stop at what I'm going for." End quote. That's T.O.'s response to that question. Now, obviously, the same question was posed to Shakur Stevenson. But in Shakur Stevenson's response, his disposition was totally opposite to that of T.O. His outlook was totally and completely opposite of T.O.'s, which was interesting, right? So where T.O. had showed a level of reserve and he took more of a self-aware, self-reliant approach, Shakur Stevenson looked for validation in his response to that question of how he wants people to see him when he's victorious after that fight, right? He wanted public validation. This is what Shakur said in response to that question. He said, quote, "I want people to know I'm the best. That's my main objective. I'm here for the best versus the best. I called on Tiafimo for this fight to happen because I want to prove myself and prove how great I am. So come fight night, like I said, I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure I come out victorious. But I want to prove like how great I am. Like I want the world to see the greatness within my skill set, the boxer that I am. Like after we get out the ring, I want everybody to be talking like, yeah, I'm that guy." End quote. That's Shakur Stevenson. Two absolutely contrasting dispositions, right? On, what they stand to prove. Here we are in the realm of what is being proven within this sport, right? So, Shakur has something to prove. It's something that he wants acclamation for. It's something that he wants he wants the world to be acclimated to him, his style, what he has to offer. He wants acceptance. He wants accreditation from, the outside world. That's what he wants. He wants recognition. He wants acclaim. And when he is saying this at this point, Tiafimo, in listening to that response, you can see Tiafimo visibly become, unsettled. He looks befuddled. He looks perplexed and dumbfounded by Shakur Stevenson's logic, right? He's sitting in his seat. He's moving around. He's kind of unzipping his jacket. He's like, child, his face is kind of all twisted up, right? He had a puzzled and almost sorrowful look on his face when Shakur Stevenson said that. And this is interesting, you guys. This is what T.O. had to say to Shakur's response. T.O. said, quote, you're not going to get that all the time. If you go for people's expectations or what you're going to get after that, you will always be disappointed." That's T.O.'s response to Shakur Stevenson's logic of, I guess, overreaching for public approval. And Shakur Stevenson tries once again to clean up his statement, and he opts to expound upon that statement that he made, right? But he goes into contradicting himself a little bit when he says this. This is what Kor's response was to that. He says, quote, "I'm not worried about the people. I want to show what level I'm on. You always got to strive for something, whether it's anything. You're going to strive for it. So at the end of the day, when I strive for something, I put a goal up there. I'm going to tackle my goal. And if I don't get it, I don't get it. But I'm damn sure giving it 1,010 and 100% to get it. So we gon' see." End quote. That's Shakur Stevenson's response. And T.O. follows up saying something like, well, I just know, what did he say? He says, it's just how I know where we lie. It's just how I know where we lie. And Shakur gets a little bit flustered at that, but he kind of chuckles and says, yeah, okay, right? And then T.O. just repeated, that's how I know where we lie. And Shakur, in this particular moment, shows a little bit of pink once again, in my view. I did not like Shakur's response to this, right? Because instead of saying, yeah, nigga, you know what I mean? I put a goal out there. I'm going to prove my supremacy. And I'm going to show y'all how great I am. And I'm going to make y'all love me. Even the ones that hate me. Yeah. Because I'm that guy and I'm going to show it through you. Taking your head off your shoulders. I'm going to show you. And I'm going to show everybody else too. Instead of him claiming that space and owning what he said, you know what I'm saying? In response to Tiafimo saying, well, I know there's a difference between us and stuff like that. Instead of doing that, Shakur instead asks him for his opinion. He asks him what he thinks pretty much. He's like, well, where do we lie? Where do we lie? And T.O. just, starts talking about how different they are. Well, you're this, I'm that, we are not the same type of thing, right? And they kind of agreed, yeah, we're different. We're not supposed to be the same. And they kind of left it there. So little moments like that were interesting to me to watch. I did not like so Shakur Stevenson's need for validation was proven with Tiafimo. Um, in him caring at all about what Tiafimo thought about him, even in that little tiny moment. Oh, I know where we lie. I know, how different we are. And Shakur's like, well, where do we lie? I don't give a fuck. Why are you asking that nigga where we lie? Ask his ass after you behead him where we lie. Ask him where you got his head lying on a goddamn canvas where we lie. I don't give a damn where you think we lie prior to this battle. So I wanted to see a little bit more, not that he had to wild out on Teofimo Lopez, right? That's not what I'm saying. But I am talking about the spirit, ladies and gentlemen. There is a spirit that I wanted to see Shakur Stevenson have. This is a man you are going to battle with. You are going to bleed in front of this man. You are going to draw his blood on that battlefield. Fuck what he thinks about anything. Anything. You understand? I wanted to see a little bit more steadfastness from Shakur Stevenson. And I'm not saying that's the end all be all, if that's the all knowing determining factor of his victory or his defeat. I'm not saying that, but it's just these moments where valor and heart should be solidified immediately. There is no way that Teofimo should ever feel comfortable sitting at that table talking to you, as if he is your father, essentially. Oh, don't go, patting him on the head. Don't go, trying to get approval from other people, son. Worry about yourself. And Shakur Stevenson overexerting to explicate to Teofimo Lopez what he means. Oh, let me clean up my statement and tell you what I really mean. See, you understand. See, when you have a goal, you want to pursue it and you want to be loved for your achievements type of things. Why are you explaining anything to this motherfucker? That was a very interesting exchange there. So, overall, I'm interested in the fight in and of itself. Like I said, I've always been saying this is a good fight. It's a fight that I have long wanted to see for years, good people, right? So that now that it has been materialized, now that we are in line to see these men in action in just about a week and a half or so, I'm very interested in what the energy is going to be when these two men meet in that ring, right? I'm leaning definitely towards Shakur for the win, right? I am leaning towards him. I favor him to win, but I am not at all blinded or deluded, brothers and sisters, about depending on Teofimo's conviction and what Teofimo shows up, that this fight may present all types of surprises that I think may go over a lot of people's heads. I think that was one of the questions that I posed in the post on my community page where I was talking to the good people who chimed in. That's one of the things that I asked, like, is there a reticence or reserve or a pulling away from this fight because people overwhelmingly feel that it will be an easy fight for Shakur Stevenson? That was one of the questions that I posed. And so, in looking at that, I think that is a all-encompassing maybe notion around, or let's say generally held around the boxing world. I think a lot of people are overwhelmingly favoring Shakur Stevenson. Not that is a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. You're right. You always have your favorite. But, I'm wondering about if it's a reason, of course, why people were so standoffish about the fight, or why, or could it be a motive factor in how the fight ensues? I'm wondering if that will in itself, in other words, brothers and sisters, will be a dynamic because he knows he is the overwhelming favorite, right? Is that going to be a dynamic within their approach to each other, within their exchange with each other in the ring? Interesting questions that I have, you guys. Real talk. Like I said, depending on how Tio's conviction is, because we don't know what Tio's going to show up to that ring, right? We don't know if it's going to be quote unquote Gordo or just simply Tio. We don't know who's showing up to that ring, especially because he's been so topsy-turvy in his output for a string of performances that he has had. We haven't seen, real talk, we haven't seen Teofimo Lopez really stepping 10 toes like that as far as the warriorship. I want to say since the Loma fight, real talk, because he definitely wasn't there with goddamn Blackett. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? The Barboza fight was goddamn lackluster. I'll never forget me and the King BFTB were watching that fight together, right? And we were kind of like tossed up on who had the most output, who had any effective output, because it was kind of like a canceling of each other between T.O. and Barboza. So he definitely wasn't, really vehement or adamant in his output in that particular fight. And I can't even account for any skillful boxing that was displayed in the Barboza fight either, now that I'm thinking back on it. So I don't know what Teofimo is going to show up. And at the end of the day, we know, beautiful people, these are two generally and highly regarded competitors, but even with that on the table, anything can happen. Anything can happen in boxing. This is a boxing match at the end of the day. So I think that if Teofimo can, let's say, play upon a level of mental dominion over Shakur, the way he has shown in the little ways that he has in this face-off, in the little ways that he has shown in, the spurts of little interviews that he had done in the lead up to this fight, I think that he could have an advantage in the mental department, because there is a string of, I don't want to say mental weakness, but there is a level of vulnerability that somebody can capsize within Shakur Stevenson. They can capsize it. They could compromise it. You know what I'm saying? They can compromise that and capsize his confidence with that mental vulnerability that he tends to display, right? If he's smart, I think he will continue to play upon that. He obviously is playing upon it in these little ways and in these little interviews. I wonder if he's going to, chalk that up in the fight itself. So if he does, it's going to be a shift in the fight, you guys, if he could play on that mentality of Shakur Stevenson. Shakur has never been outrightly dominated in any fight. Physically or mentally, he has not allowed himself to do that, except for, I would say, the Zepeda fight. Because the lead up to that Zepeda fight, all of that talking had Shakur Stevenson chasing his own goddamn tail in circles, right? So much so that he had to prove something. Here he go again, wanting to prove something to the outsiders. So much so that he abandoned and escaped his pure boxing style, level mastery, threw that out the window and completely opted for a totally, one-dimensional front foot, coming forward style in that fight with Zepeda. That's what wanting to prove himself did. It led him to cast his own skill set, superior boxing skill set aside, in order to stand toe-to-toe and prove something, in order to be validated by the larger boxing public, if you guys recall, right? And so that's the type of mental vulnerability that I'm talking about that Shakur Stevenson can exploit in the ring, if he is sharp enough to do that, that is, right? Because I'm not saying that Shakur Stevenson will absolutely and totally be susceptible to that, right? But I'm saying that it is there in some form or capacity to be exploited if he knows how to move those particular pieces on the chessboard. So Shakur hasn't been, you know what I'm saying? The Zepeda fight was a revelation of that, brothers and sisters. I have no idea of T.O.'s game plan, but he definitely also in the interview insinuated something else that was very interesting, which is, I think he said something about like the type of punches that he can do and the things that he can get over with as far as in the ring that may not necessarily be viewed as favorable tactics, but ones that were still legal. Did you guys catch that part in the interview where T.O. said that? We had suggested that he will be able to do things to Shakur Stevenson that are very much legal, but that may not be pretty, essentially. I wonder what he was referring to, right? And that particular moment also left Shakur Stevenson very curious. He was playing with his mentality, even in that moment, where Shakur was like, well, what do you mean, type of thing, right? Looking interested in what he was talking about. So I guess we'll see, you guys. As far as Shakur Stevenson goes, it's unquestionable to me that he hands down has a better and all around, it goes without saying, you guys, a better and overall better boxing prowess and ability than Teofimo Lopez, right? He just does. He is a pure boxer. That is what it is. So he is definitely going in there with all the tools that he needs to get the job done. He has what it takes, in other words, to completely style on that man. I mean, leave him in the dirt. Shakur Stevenson has everything he needs in order to do that, right? So, being that core is vehemently, chasing some level of acknowledgement and approval from the boxing public. I definitely wonder, however, if that's going to have him, either overreaching or perhaps because he wants something to prove, because we could have an adverse or an alternative response to that. It's either going to have him overreaching, similar to what we witnessed with the Zepeda fight, or maybe possibly this new recognition that he wants to garner from the public will have him possibly showcasing, I don't know, maybe some further dimensions within his skill set. Maybe there's something new of himself that he is looking to show and prove to the boxing world that doesn't require a level of overreaching or or a dire need for validation, right? So I'm wondering how Shakur Stevenson will show up as well. It's definitely possible that he intends to maybe just show some different layers to his game, some other aspects that we haven't necessarily seen. And I think Teofimo Lopez is the perfect canvas to display that on, right? Because he's a name of notability. He's a name of all types of accreditation. He's a viable, formidable opponent for Shakur Stevenson. And like I said, he is really the first real test as far as resume for Shakur Stevenson. So it'll be interesting to see how he shows up. So long as he does not give up his ghost, brothers and sisters. So long as Shakur Stevenson does not give up his ghost in need for validation, I think he will be just fine, and he definitely stands a hell of a chance to win the fight. But we will see. This is boxing. Anything can happen. And January 31st, that fight is set to take place, I believe. So I'm interested. What do you guys think about that? Did you guys see the face-off? I'm so interested to know what you guys think. Hold on, let me scroll up a little bit to see what y'all was talking about. What do you guys think about this? And I think last week we also covered kind of the hush within the boxing world surrounding this fight. It's diabolical to me how quiet it is around this fight. This is a huge fight, you guys. And I had some people that chimed in on that particular post that I wrote say, oh, well, it's just not main event work. There was myriad. There were many myriad responses. I just, just like I don't know, like there was so many perspectives. It was so interesting to read all the comments. But one person said something like, this just doesn't seem main event worthy. Maybe if this was on an undercard, I don't think that this fight has enough to stand on its own. Some people got into the dynamic of their personalities as fighters. Some people were, they brought up, the stigma that's still attached to Shakur Stevenson stemming back from the De Los Santos fights. I mean, there were so many perspectives and reasons as to why people felt they themselves were not necessarily drawn to the fight, even though on paper it's a good fight. It's so interesting. The beautiful sister Bella says, a lot of people think Tio doesn't have a chance. I don't get that. This is a close fight. Yeah, I definitely think this is a much closer fight. Than people would be led to believe. Anything can happen, Queen Bella. You know what I'm saying? I would like to think that it would be much more competitive because I know the stature that both men are on. You understand? And I understand the magnitude of, this level. It's a high level that you're on, and what they do from here will set the stage for, that 140 division. It'll offset that. This is a championship fight. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully we can get to see, some unifications popping in this division. I posted a short about that from the previous live, highlighting the aspect of 140 needing supremacy to be claimed. There is no unifications going on. There's been, it's been a stalemate there for I don't know, how long, right? So Somebody needs to be on the path to undisputed at some goddamn point at 140. What's going on? Especially how thick it is. There's so many moving pieces at 140. I'd love to see all of these things get shaken up there. My beautiful King BF says, to be honest, there's more interest. He says there's more of an interest in a Popeye 6-piece than this fight. Thank you for that, beautiful King. Oh my God. I mean, at this point, you ain't lying, King. I was just like, where is the parlance around this fight? There is no conversation whatever around this fight. It's wild to me. My twin says to me, this fight determines who is the best Devin Haney duck. Damn, twin, for real? It's like that, Sean. I feel you. Beautiful King says, if you want to prove yourself, then stop saying you're proved already or proven already. Absolutely. Exactly. Which is the larger part of the discussion as far as, you know, the levels of needing to be proven. How one goes about being proven, you know, versus what one is actually proving via their actions, via their output, right? I mean, just look at Shakur Stevenson, who has repeatedly over the past however many months said things like, my skills can surpass anything. My skills are, supersede the idea of weight. Weight doesn't matter because my skills are so great. I can go here, I can go there. I'm him. I'm better than this person. I'm better than that person. And he is probably one of the most unproven fighters of all of the ones that are highly acclaimed, right? For all the acclaim that we give him, for all the belief that we have of, in him and of him and for him. I'm not saying that it doesn't belong there because we see his talent. We see the level of potential that he has, right? But that doesn't mean that he gets to not get in there with the likes of Devin Haney, that he gets to bypass people like Antoine Russell. What is he going to do? Is he going to remain at 140 if he's a champion? Does he intend to get in there and fight Antoine Russell? Is he going to get up there and face not Shakur Stevenson, Frank Martin? What's going to happen? Even though Frank, of course, is not a champion, but I'm talking about that level of competition, the building of stature, the building of one's resume. What does he intend to prove if he becomes a champion at 140? What's going to be proven here, you guys? What is Teofimo going to prove? Is he going to embark upon, achieving undisputed? What does he intend to do? Is Shakur moving back down to 30? Is Tio going to unify and become undisputed at that division? Is he going to move up? What do these men stand to prove? Because it has to go beyond a level of simply chalking oneself up, simply gascinating about who you think you are. These things must be proven for sure. And I'm interested in seeing, that particular dynamic unfold. 140 has a lot of smoke there for sure. Now, I don't know. We also have a lot of idleness going on, interestingly enough, there. So I'm waiting to see these moving parts get moved to their, proper places for sure. Let's see what else. As I'm engaging with the people, the King, Stephen X says, Tio thinks he's a philosopher. Don't he? He kind of sat there and talked about, Shakur, don't go thinking like that now. You hear, son? You know what I'm saying? Don't go trying to reach for the approval of other people. You're never going to be satisfied. You will always be disappointed. He definitely took that high horse approach in that moment, which was interesting. But what was even more interesting than that was that Shakur allowed him to do that by seeking to explain, to substantiate what he meant. As if it matters. I'm trying to take your head off, nigga. I don't give a damn what's in your mind. Okay? Don't matter to me. It's food on a plate. None of it matters. Now, that was interesting. Beautiful King says, if Core loses, he's going to retire and expect a parade in Jersey. Dang, like he's Bud. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And you know what, Beautiful King and everybody, I don't really hear discussions about what the reaction will be if Shakur loses. I haven't really heard any questions about Shakur Stevenson, about his intentions in general, if he wins or loses. There are just no discussions of any kind surrounding, um, the engagement of these two men. I'm interested in that because what will happen should Shakur lose? What does he do? What happens? Just as much as I'm interested in what happens if he's victorious. It's interesting to me, but I don't really hear much of anything being asked or divulged at all about anything surrounding this fight. The great Mike says Shakur not coming off nearly as confident, right? When he was fighting Zepeda and Yoshino, he was cocky. Very interesting point. Absolutely. Absolutely. Same thing with Valdez. If you remember when he was fighting Valdez, he definitely had his little cockiness. He definitely had his little swag and confidence all over the place. It was exuding from him, right? Strangely enough, it's not the case here. It's not the case here. Beautiful King says, Core should have asked for a hug after the convo. Didn't they look like they was going to get some tea up, Beautiful King? What was that? I know it was definitely that type of energy going on in that presser. You would have thought those men was on a coffee goddamn date or something, right? Same here at the round table, at the face-off. I was surprised they didn't serve them some damn tea, right? How subdued and calm and quelled the energy was between those two men. Crazy, crazy work. The King Nug says, Shakur's mental fortitude and confidence is like a light switch with a child flicking it on and off. It's weird. Wow. Yes. So that there is an inconsistency in the mental fortitude. That's what the King Nugs is pointing out. Definitely concur. Very much see your point. Right? My Queen Mama Love Chiquila Fields says, T.O. told him what he was going to do to him. That was an interesting part. He's like, listen, there's things that can be done now, right? Don't get it twisted. It may not be necessarily, a highlighted move to make in the ring, but it's definitely legal. And I can play with all types of different things. And then I think Shakur was like, what you talk about? Shakur and the host were like, well, what do you mean? I mean, it has to be legal. He's like, yeah, it'll be legal. He's like, you can't be punching behind the head. And he's like, nah, there's just certain punches that you can throw. And I don't know if he was just trying to throw once again Shakur off of his, mental lock, right? Try to upset his mentality a little bit and like spark his curiosity. I don't know if it was that. I don't know what that man was talking about. Either way, it definitely had Shakur showing, a moment of being rattled or at least curious, right? When he stated things like that, which is, I think it's a chess move for sure. He would say and throw in anything to get a response, to get a reaction and a rise out of Shakur Stevenson, even if it was telling a lie, right? Interesting stuff. BF is welling out. He says all T.O. had to do was home him a lollipop in the middle of the combo and Core would have piped down. Child. Oh, give. All T.O. had to do was give. Give him a lollipop in the middle of the combo and Core would have piped down. I mean, he was already piped down, Beautiful King. That man wasn't huffing and puffing about nothing. Right? Especially in the moments where I think he should have. You know what I mean? Interesting stuff. Very, very interesting. Twin says T.O. is usually explosive in the early rounds. Then he calms down to a B or C level fighter later on. Yeah, interesting. But actually, when I think back, Twin, Beautiful King, you remember when we were watching the Barboza fight? T.O. With Barboza back in May was very, very slow to start in that particular fight. I don't know if you recall that, Twin, but he was kind of like, I don't know what the fuck the first 4 or 5 rounds were, but I want to say maybe it's by something like the 6th is when he started showing a little bit more, bouncing on his feet. He started to show a little bit more agility. He tried to put a little bit of bravado out there. So I think it was to the opposite effect. He started getting a little bit more revved up in the latter rounds of that fight he had with Barboza. But interesting stuff. Normally, I'm trying to think of one of his previous fights where he started quickly and then kind of calmed down. I can't recall at the moment, but interesting point. Hold on, let me charge my. Let me get my charger. Yeah, definitely an interesting point, Twin. I wonder what's what T.O.'s going to show up. I really do. I really, really do. And he's definitely going to have to be sprightly in facing Shakur Stevenson, because Shakur is all movement. You know what I'm saying? Shakur going to come in there with that footwork. You know what I mean? T.O. is not somebody that really knows how, the art of cutting the ring off, right? That's no secret. So his stamina, to your point, Twin, is definitely going to be an interesting factor in this fight, without a doubt. Without a doubt, Twin. The King Steven says that Barboza fight was flat, wasn't it? Child, crazy. Let me scroll down. I went a ways up, you guys. Hold on. Oh, I think I got some super chats. Hold on. Let me shout out the good family who showed love. I got my beautiful sister Cammy Cam, who gave me some love earlier. Salute again. Big love to my sis. And infinite blessings to Chiquila Fields, showing some major love in the super chat. She says, for another Sunday evening cook, peace and prosperity be yours, beautiful love child. Thank you, Mama Love. Big hugs your way as always. You already know what it is. Infinite blessings to you. Thank you so much for supporting the channel, as you always do, right? Infinite love and respect to the Queen Chiquila Fields. And big blessings to my twin, Daryl Anderson. He says, just leaving my artwork for another insightful Sunday cook. Salute to the twin. Thank you so much, King, to the twin Daryl Anderson. Oh my goodness, the King Uncommon is in the building. He says, bruh, I've been watching videos of baby animals, puppy training videos, people cooking big juicy burgers at the crib, crazy whips from China, and everything but core versus TO content. I just don't care, is what he says. Yes. And the King Uncommon actually, shared his views, pretty much mirroring these same sentiments. He shared his views on the post that I did, right? And it was basically, mirroring this, where he's like, I just, something about this is just not, I'm just not inclined toward it at all. I'm just not, something about this is not pulling me to it. Even though on paper, it's a really great fight. You know what I mean? For both of them to have each other on the other's resume. Interesting stuff. Very interesting stuff, you guys. Now, before we get out of here, I definitely wanted to get into this really quickly, brothers and sisters. I know I am actually, usually I'm done by this time, but I definitely wanted to cook. Yes, King Stephen. Absolutely. Well said. There is no soul. There is no soul, right? So let me get into this real quick, brothers and sisters. Did you guys see the back and forth between Alicia Baumgartner and Caroline Dubois on Twitter? Okay, over the weekend. I was like, hold up, because y'all already know that this is a fight that I want. This is a fight that I have long called for. You know what I'm saying? So that in seeing this happen, of course, this is stemming from when Caroline Dubois called out in real time Ms. Baumgartner at their presser that they had for that particular fight. What do you call that? MVP promotions. And I think that was the Joshua fight. They were on the card for that. And Ms. Caroline Dubois, you know what I'm saying? Straight up called out Alicia Baumgartner and says, I want to smoke, and it'll be great for women's boxing. And you know what I'm saying? When you ready, I'm ready, and all of that. So I was kind of happy to see, that take place at that press. I thought it was, a wonderful opportunity for her to do that. She's newly signed also to MVP along with Baumgartner and the other ladies, of that stable. So I was happy to see Caroline Dubois, calling her out at that particular time. What I was not happy to see, however, was Miss Alicia Baumgartner's reaction. Not at the presser, of course, because she was going to, that's the time to soak your shit. But I was not happy to see Alicia's reaction across social media to Caroline Dubois. Now, for whatever reason, she's is still showing salty ass tendencies. I guess she didn't like being called out at the presser, which was obvious, right? But then she goes on and creates a little video. I'm not sure what prompted her to do that, if there was a previous discussion that they had, but she went on, to her little Instagram or wherever that was, and started talking all types of big trash about my girl Dubois. You know what I mean? So I was like, what's going on here? And this is what it's interesting, you guys. This is what Alicia had to say. This is what she had to say. This is a quote. She says, quote, and Caroline Dubois, the bitch is not on my level. I already said that. She's a puppy. She's not on my level. She needs me, Alicia, to sell a fight. She needs me. At the end of the day, they want me. I don't need her. I'm also still at 130. So when you do all that yapping and talking that shit, just know that you, hold on, what did I write? Just know, sorry, you guys. Just know that you need to do what you got to do at 135. The same way I won my championship fight against Terry Harper and then went back to London and beat Michaela Mayer to become unified champion and then fought again to become undisputed. Bitch, if you ain't doing that, this is wild, you guys. She said, bitch, if you ain't doing that, don't even mention my name, bitch, because you're not on my level. But what I will do, though, is put a dog in her place. This is Alicia Baumgardner, you guys, talking crazy hella shit. Talking crazy shit. You understand me? And so, you know what I mean? Of course, the motherfucking fiery ass goddess that I am is looking at that like, okay, Miss Baumgardner, I low-key feel you. I see where you at. You know what I'm saying? I see, the turf you claiming. You know what I'm saying? I feel the confidence. I could never hate on that. I feel the confidence. I feel what it is that you're saying. You understand? So that I resonated with her on that. However, brothers and sisters, why is this woman so upset for being called out? Why is this woman so upset for being called out? Like, I get you assuming, your place. I get the big woman energy. I understand the big woman attempt that you are trying to display for Caroline and for the folks that are watching. I understand it to that degree. You understand? But what I do not get is why you are so perturbed at the matter of being called out for competition. It's competition, boo. Are you not a fighter, or are we? What's going on here? Did she bump into you, at the grocery store? You know what I'm saying? Did she slap your sister upside the head or something, like on some personal shit? Or is this boxing? Is this boxing or not? Did I miss something, good people? Why is she so upset at being called out? Especially considering that this was the very woman that tried to criticize Claressa Shields for her reaction when they had their beef going on. Didn't she try to criticize Claressa for reacting the way that she did? Oh, why you getting so mad? You know what I'm saying? It's just the ladies just competitive sport, right? Isn't that the out that she tried to take? Meanwhile, Claressa was perturbed by what Alicia had put out because it was an actual beef that they had, right? They had previously had a friendship, right? And then that soured, and then the call out commenced on the part of Baumgardner. And so Clarissa's like, the fuck is up? Because this shit obviously is personal, right? Whether it was or not, I'm just saying that's the stance that Claressa took because they had already had that underlining beef. However the beef started, it was there. There was the seed for that already planted, right? And as I recall, you guys, Baumgardner was saying, well, why can't we compete and just simply leave it at that? Why she got to get all mad? It's just the best fight in the best. I think I'm the best woman in boxing. You are calling yourself the best woman in boxing, right? I want to prove that I am her. That was Alicia's stance, was it not? Right? Oh, yeah. She took the good one of all that competition and, I want to prove myself as the best until Ressa sent her an offer and ran up on her. Then all of that rah-rah pipe the fuck down, but that's neither here nor there, brothers and sisters, right? Because we can come from whatever angle you want at that. Let's say this. Let's highlight this. In the case of the beautiful sister, Caroline Dubois, ain't no beef going on here. There is no beef. There is no latent beef that is underlining the energy and providing ammunition to the tensions. The way that it was between Alicia and Clarissa, right? Miss Dubois has no beef, brothers and sisters. This queen is coming 1000% smoke to solidify her place as a prominent and elite warrior in the sport. So she calling you out is saying, yo, she's actually saying what you tried to assume that you were saying to Clarissa. She's actually saying that, yo, let's get it popping. I'm a competitor. You a competitor. Let's meet in the ring. That's the angle that Dubois is coming from. There's no internecine, aspects or avenues that she's taking. There's no underhanded, backhanded, snide ass, inner workings here. This is the spirit of competition in Caroline. Like, yo, I see you. Yes, you doing good. Yes, I recognize what you've done in your division. Come up to mine and let's get it popping. That's what we're here for, are we not, brothers and sisters? I don't understand why she is so upset. You understand? She simply called her out like, yo, we can get this cracking. Where you at? Let's do it. I would love to get in the ring with you and trade leather. What's popping? Come see me. And now Alicia is taking an issue to that, brothers and sisters. What happened to the best fighting the best? What happened to that flag that she was waving around about, women's warriorship and the propelling of the sport in a forward direction via competition, via warriorship? What happened to that banner she was waving? Now, all of a sudden, it's not about the best fight in the blast. It's not about being ironclad. It's not about propelling the women's division forward with excellent competitorship and the display of warriorship and valor and heart. What's going on? I have questions. Good people. So let me get this straight. It's okay for her to call out an elite when she was on the other end, right? When she was calling out the big dog, so to speak, when she was calling out Claressa Shields, the more accomplished fighter, right? It was no problem for her to take that avenue to call out the more accomplished fighter of Claressa Shields when she wanted to challenge herself and prove her supremacy against the best woman in the sport. You had no problem with that, but somehow Caroline Dubois is now looking at you as an undisputed champion of 130, looking at you, as a leading face for women's boxing. And she is looking to you and saying, you can get it too. Yes, I want to get in there with the best was good. What's the problem with her taking the very disposition that you held against Clarissa? Because you certainly wasn't no goddamn big dog to her. You was 1000% a goddamn puppy to Claressa Shields. Didn't stop you from barking in her direction, did it? The fuck is the problem when Caroline is looking at you? Make it make sense, brothers and sisters. Didn't understand that at all. Right? Moreover, brothers and sisters, please correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't Ms. Baumgardner undisputed for something like a year and a half at 130? What the fuck is there still left to prove at 130, ma'am? Right? I mean, you're going to go on and do what you do. You know what I'm saying? But I'm saying it's not like you have not conquered that division already. So why is she talking as if there are still, roads to clean up, belts to collect, or whatever? She's trying to become undisputed and goddamn again. What's going on? Because she can certainly take her ass up to goddamn 135. It's only one damn division. Go claim some new turf. Why are you talking as if that's, within the realm of impossibility? that you can't go up a weight class to 35, to conquer new ventures, to conquer new territories, and moreover, collect new straps. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Caroline Dubois, the queen, is a champion. WBC goddamn champion. This ain't no damn lame calling you out, from the goddamn corner and crevices some goddamn where. This is a champ. Dubois is a certified champ at 135. Who the fuck is this pup that she's talking about? That's a boss at 135. Hello? Where's this pup? I don't get it. Caroline Dubois, brothers and sisters, responded to the tweet because this was across Twitter, right? And so Caroline saw the clip of that video, saw the original post that was made about that, showing the details of the statements and sentiments that Baumgartner had. And Caroline absolutely gave a savage ass, response to that. This is what she said. She says, rent free. I'm glad you people are seeing through this absolute bollocks. If you don't want to fight me, honey bunny, just say that. End quote. That's all she said, right? She kind of kept it short and sweet, but lit a fire under that ass. Like, oh, okay, boo, you doing all this rah-rah, all this clapping your hands in front of the goddamn camera. Just say you don't want to fight me, baby girl, and leave it at that. That's Caroline, which was dope, right? So Caroline is definitely with the shit. She's been with the shits. That's why she called this woman out, precisely for that reason. She wants the smoke. She wants to see what you about. Absolutely. And she's, absolutely keeping the same stance in her response to that particular tweet. Now, she also stated savagely the following. This is Dubois. She says, quote, the only reason Alicia would rather jump up 3 divisions and fight Claressa Shields is because it's a win-win. If she gets her ass handed to her, which she will, she can always say, well, I dared to be great, but I was just too small. Lose against me, and there's no excuse. End quote. So she definitely put a huge exclamation point, on that particular sentiment that she tweeted, right? In response to all of this. Interesting stuff. I'm like, absolute facts, baby girl. Absolute facts. What would be the excuse should she lose to Caroline Dubois? There would be no cop-out. Not that I'm saying that should she lose, she would, what's her name? Alicia would do that. But it definitely makes sense. Narrative definitely applies and fits. There is no excuse. There is no, oh, I dare to be great, going up 1 division to fight Caroline, right? You guys are essentially the same weight. Has no comparison to that of you moving up 3 or however many weight classes to face Claressa Shields at that particular time. Yet you were willing to do that. Undoubtedly, you were willing to do that, or at least you postured as such before you ran and tucked your tail. You know what I mean? When that contract was sent, when that quote rolled up on you at that press conference, right? All up until that very moment, you was with it, apparently. Then you put on as if you were with it until it got too thick in there for you. And then you hauled ass and tucked your tail and ran, right? But you were definitely entertaining the idea, even if for public recognition, right? Yet somehow it's beyond you and below you to consider fighting this beautiful warrior in Caroline Dubois. What's going on here? Miss Best Fight the Best? Miss Let's Propel Women's Boxing Forward? What are we doing? The fuck is going on? You know what I mean? Honestly, who is at 130 to fight Alicia? There's nobody at goddamn 130. She's literally the only name in that division. Brothers and sisters, Katie Taylor's last fight was, Amanda Serrano's last fight was held at 126, where she is ranked. Amanda Serrano is also ranked, I believe, at 140. Katie Taylor, you know what I'm saying, fights at 140. Who the fuck is at 130 for Alicia Baumgartner to fight? Michaela Mayer is a welterweight. Who is at 130 that she feels she has to be stuck and tied and anchored to that division for? Ain't nobody goddamn there. Not to mention you already became undisputed there. Am I tripping or no, brothers and sisters? I hope this is not coming off as some goddamn hate tour or I want the best to fight the best in boxing. So I'm looking at an avenue that the young Queen Caroline Dubois created and says, yes, you are one of the best. I acknowledge you as that. Let's get it cracking. Come up here. Come see me. Let's see who's the best. And you goddamn complaining about it? I just don't understand. I really do not understand. Let's say, brothers and sisters, we wanted to use once again the example of Claressa Shields huffing and puffing, about their beef that they had. At the end of the day, whether we like or don't like the way Claressa responded to that situation, what did the beautiful sister Claressa do? She pulled up for the smoke. That's what Claressa did. Yeah, she huffed and puffed. Yeah, it was a back and forth banter across social media. At the end of the day, the goddess Claressa Shields rolled up on Elisa and said, yo, let's get it popping. I'm here in front of you. What's good? You talked all that shit across social media. I am here. I will send you a contract. Come to this weight division. You don't dictate nothing over here. I am the champion. Multi-division. The most accomplished things walking in women's boxing. You dictate nothing. I tell you where to go. If you don't want to meet me here, the fuck are we talking about? Meet me here. This would be the compromise weight. Sent her an offer and the bitch motherfucking vanished like Casper the goddamn ghost. Didn't hear nothing from her after she got rolled up on, after the contract and the offer was, allegedly sent her way. Claressa stepped 10 toes and followed through, in other words, brothers and sisters. Right? Here Caroline Dubois is saying, yes, I'm entertaining this. I'm entertaining you because I acknowledge you. It's not anything personal. Where you at? Let's compete on the highest level. It'll be beautiful for the women's division. Where you at? And this woman is huffing and puffing, clapping her hands in a goddamn camera, complaining in a bathroom some goddamn where about being called out to fight one of the most beautiful fighters in women's boxing currently. Caroline Dubois is absolutely, aside from Claressa Shields, my favorite female fighter among my favorites. So what's the problem? Calling her a puppy means nothing, especially in lieu of her being, a champion, especially with the wonderful fight style that she has. She is a problem, Caroline Dubois, brothers and sisters. Why wouldn't you want to trade swords with that? I don't understand it. If we are here for the best fighting the best, in other words, good people, it sounds to me like little Miss Boo Boo, right, is staying comfortable and cozy within a division that she already conquered, in a division in which she knows there is absolutely no smoke for her. Why not go up and see the champ of 35, just one little division above you? You can make that easy. That is not no puppy that's calling you out, ma'am. That's a champion. The fuck we doing? Oh, she's a pup, she's beneath me. What? Miss me with all of that. Are you fighting or not? That's all I want to know. And apparently that's all Caroline wants to know. What are we doing? Right? If you don't want to fight me, just say it. Make it plain. But all of this, bopping your neck and snapping your damn fingers has no place here. Are we fighting or not? Are we getting it cracking or not? What is this? You know what I'm saying? Go see about that smoke. If she's a pup, go train her. Is my disposition. Okay, you think she's a pup. That's okay. I got no beef with that. You know what I'm saying? This is boxing. It's a competitive sport. You are supreme, to yourself before anyone else can deem you so. I totally get that, like I said. So that her disposition is not necessarily what I had a problem with. Her confidence is not what happened. But go prove it. Here we go again about proving. The manner in which things are going about being proven in boxing. You don't prove it by fucking complaining in the bathroom, flipping your hair in a goddamn camera. Go to that battlefield and prove that she's a pup. Facts or no, good people? Go prove it. Go take it. I don't got time to be talking about nothing when I'm hungry. What do? I go eat. I go fetch. That's what I do. The fuck you think I'm going to do as a warrior? When I got the bloodlust, I'm absolutely going for the kill, unrelentingly. Because that's to be proven to myself. The world gets to enjoy what I prove to myself. That's the warrior heart, brothers and sisters. That's the type of time I'm expecting to see from Alicia Baumgardner, that I'm expecting to see continued in Claressa Shields, to see in Shakur Stevenson, to see in the young King Devin Haney, to see in Abdullah Mason, to see in Caroline Dubois. And all the names that we can run the gamut on. Go take it. Calling you a pup and proving that you are a pup are two different things. What is Alicia looking to prove to herself, ladies and gentlemen? Because I ain't got no questions about what Caroline Dubois is trying to prove to herself. Why is it being made to be something problematic that Caroline is willing to walk through fire to get to her greatness? That's not problematic, Alicia, or anybody. That's what you want. That's the spirit. If you want to quell it and silence it in her, go prove it to her. It is not enough to talk about what she is or is not in your presence. Go show her exactly what time it is. Go show her. So that if she doesn't, come to find out anything else with anybody else, she was been proven to by you that you are her and you are not to be played with. If there's nobody else in the world she can say that to, she should be able to say that about you. Oh, that's one line I know I can't cross with Alicia Baumgardner. Great competitor. Gave me great work. Right? The respect can be had at the end of the day, no problem. But on that battlefield, baby, ain't no goddamn holding back. You getting all of this. You're going to have to take my goddamn head off. That's the type of, I'm saying, I like things ironclad like that. What's the problem? Complaining about it is crazy to me, brothers and sisters. You know what I mean? I just found that to be very interesting, that reaction and her output and her demeanor in that video of Alicia Baumgardner. I was astounded. I'm like, well, why is she, you know what I'm saying? Why is this, why is she looking mad? Why is she looking as if somebody crossed a line? Why is she looking like Caroline Dubois, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, pulled her damn drawers down in front of the public. I don't know what the hell's going on. But it definitely didn't look like it was an invite for the smoke. She was not inviting Caroline to the battlefield. You know what I mean? Caroline, brothers and sisters, is not about the riffraff. She don't care too much for the hype or the over talking, right? She likes the level of attention that she has. She likes to be respected in the sport, hands down. But she is not about the over talking. She is very understated. Her talking is done in the ring. That's where you get that heat. She don't need to do all the talking. You know what I'm saying? She'll say what she needs to say and keep it short. Kind of like EJ, kind of like Frank Martin. You know what I'm saying? Devin Haney, those types of personalities. You know what I mean? Fierce warriors, but they don't sign up for the talking. They just want to get that business done. They want to go to the smoke. That's how they talk, is through the smoke. Caroline is very much like that. You understand? So, she called you out for the smoke. Instead of Alicia saying, "Oh, that's cute. I'm flattered. Look at Caroline. Wow. Wonderful competitor." You know what I'm saying? You're building your name. You know what I mean? I see you working your way up. Yes, you've attained championship. I'm flattered that you would call me out. Well, you said that's grown woman shit. I'm flattered that you called me out. I turned nothing down but a lame ass nigga. That's the only thing I turned down, baby girl. So thank you for calling me out. You know what I'm saying? I will definitely entertain that as soon as I make my way up to 135, which will be shortly, because I already conquered a division. That's something that I have done as opposed to you. But hopefully, eventually, you'll get to that level. You know what I'm saying? You can be cute and throw your little shade in there if you want to say something like that. You know what I'm saying? Keep that belt warm for me at 35 when I feel like it's time to conquer another weight class. Keep the belt warm for me. That's sexy. I like that. Talk to me nice. If she would have took that approach and talked to me nice that way, no beef at all whatsoever with Alicia Baumgartner, because that's some G shit to me to take that type of grown woman approach. That type. You know what I'm saying? But this woman made a whole video complaining in somebody's goddamn bathroom, mad about the smoke alarm. Is crazy to me. How does that tell me that you want to be the best, that you want to fight the best? You understand? What was crazy as well is that she went on a whole nother goddamn tirade, talking about men and how men hate on her. And I think it was actually in regard to the King Art Man. You guys familiar with the King Art Man? She went on a goddamn tirade against Art Man. I have no idea what spiraled that situation out of control, but she was like, child, you a lame, you making money off people's names. And if you guys have Twitter, you go on her page, you'll see it. She was wilding out against Art Man, and Art Man was like, you motherfucking drug cheating ass, It was wild. Art Man was getting at her like, you just mad because your ass was calling PEDs. You bought merchandise from me, but here you go talk about it. It was wild, child. Some drama that was there. But anyway, it led her to say something very odd, where she said, quote, I don't care to be liked and I don't care to be your favorite. Listen to this now, you guys. This is Alicia. I don't care to be liked and I don't care to be your favorite. This game is business, the bag, and alignment with God, period. End quote. That's Alicia. This game is about the business, the bag, and alignment with God. So here we go, highlighting the bag, right? Didn't I speak about that in the preface? Okay. The bag, the business is her focus. I don't care about being liked. So her sense of validation is claiming that she does not care to be liked. Her validation is her bag. So in other words, brothers and sisters, if I could break this the fuck down, did anybody hear a motherfucking thing about legacy in that statement? I sure as hell didn't. I sure as hell motherfucking didn't. I didn't hear a goddamn thing about legacy mentioned in that particular statement. But she damn sure as hell made sure not to leave out her fixation on a bag. Which, once again, I have no problem with. I want all these brothers and sisters to get in there and amass their wealth for themselves and their loved ones. No problem with that. But the fixation is the problem. I heard no legacy. Get your bag. Where the fuck is your legacy? Where is your stature? Where is the highlighting of merit, of warriorship and valor? I heard nothing stated within the comment that she made of the sort. Legacy has no shoe in, man. Fights with people that the world want to see and support and back you in have no significance or stature? Oh, really? No wonder why you duck smoke. Because it's about the business and the bag, right? Are you going to make this the second smoke signal you duck and dodge and tuck your tail from? What's going on? Ms. Baumgartner did a lot of huffing and puffing across social media that I just passed through some of her, it was coming on my timeline yesterday. So I'm just scrolling like, oh, okay. I'm just seeing random ones just pop up of replies, of responses that people have had to her, right? She was definitely huffing, puffing up a storm. And a lot of the reason is because she did not seem to like the amount of feedback and backlash that she had been receiving, it seemed, from real boxing fans who were chiming in, particularly on the Caroline Dubois situation, because they really did not understand why she was taking an aversion to Caroline's call out. People just did not understand Well, why is she taking an aversion to this? Why are you reacting like this? It's just a call out. She's one of the best in the sport. Yes, she's coming up. No, she has not been undisputed, right? But she is undoubtedly one of the shining names coming up in the sport, looking to take over the division, aligned with greatness, a beautiful boxer, can bang when she has to. The fuck is going on? People were chiming in, asking, well, what's really the problem here? I think it's a wonderful fight. I would love to see that fight among some of the things people were saying. I would love to see that fight. You should fight her. You should fight her. You should fight. People are supporting the fight. And you over here being dismissive of the people who are going to actually support this quote unquote motherfucking bag that you love so much. Excuse me? People were all up and down that comment section, ladies and gentlemen. Caroline would be, one of your best fights. I heard somebody say that would be one of your best fights today. Who else did you fight? You fought Michaela Mayer. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I would love to see a fight with Caroline. People were in support, even though, some people were kind of like more sassy with it, showing that level of energy because of the energy that she had put out, right? So some people was like, child, what you think? Why are you looking to, some people coming at her like that, of course, right? But even in that, people were still motioning to say that that's the best fighting the best. Why would you refrain? Why would you recoil from, entertaining that? Why would you do that? You know what I'm saying? It was crazy. It was messy up in them comment sections. I even saw this woman go as far as to say, I think this was more, in relation to the whole Art Man thing, whatever they had going on there. She said something about men and how, oh yeah, in this game, men hate more than the women. Make it make sense. Men hate more than the women. Like, so now you go, antagonizing the male fan base. Child, the only reason why I goddamn know Alicia Baumgartner quiet as a goddamn cat is because of a man. Champside put me on to Alicia Baumgartner. You know what I'm saying? The male fan base is what drives and propels the image of Alicia Baumgartner. You understand? It is not the same with Clarissa Shields. I know Clarissa Shields because the world was talking about her. This is before I was even really, you know what I'm saying? As I was starting my whole boxing journey, I found Clarissa Shields and the whole Netflix documentary that she had and the coverage that she was getting and stuff like that about how she was an Olympian and all this stuff. That had nothing to do with her, sex appeal. That had nothing to do with her flaunting, herself. Not to say that Alicia is like some scantily, well, she's sexy, right? And she throws that out there, but I'm not trying to make the comparison that she's some type of hoe or anything like that. I'm just saying, like, Clarissa Shields was absolute grit. That's how I came to know her, where that's not the case. I could be honest about that. That's not the case with Alicia Baumgartner. I know of her because of the men who find her attractive. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I know of her, right? So, I'm not at odds with that. You know what I mean? But, to go ahead and castigate and lambaste your male audience, which is the reason why I even, somebody like me and probably many of you, know her, right? Is weird work. And long story short, brothers and sisters, that's her largest fan base. That's her most prominent fan base, is the male gaze, the male interaction with her, right? Because people want to see her. They think she's cute. She's sexy, right? She has beautiful, attributes. One could find her very, very much appealing stylistically, which is nothing wrong with that. I have no beef with that, right? Men look at women all the time in whatever ways that they do, right? And of course, myself as a female can appreciate feminine beauty, right? Which I won't deny that she has, right? So that, but to lash out at your male fan base, your prominent fan base, it's just, I don't understand that. Oh, the men have more, they have more hate than the women do. It's just, I just didn't like that. I don't really like the way that that particular thing was handled either. In addition, to her output and recoiling away from competition with Caroline Dubois. It just didn't bode well on her over the past few days in looking at how she handled things. Interesting stuff, I guess. Either way, it's definitely a fight that I would love to see. Getting back to the whole Caroline Dubois thing, that's a fight that I want to see. You know what I'm saying? I do not think that she is going to fight Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor, like I said, she's up at 140. Her ass may be goddamn retiring. And quite frankly, the way Amanda Serrano looked in her last goddamn fight, I wouldn't be surprised if her ass, mentioned some goddamn retiring with it. I don't know what's going on there. You know what I'm saying? Michaela Mayer is a welterweight. Like I said, Michaela definitely wants to get back with Alicia Baumgardner, right? Especially with all the PED scandal that followed that whole thing or whatever. So I know that she would be willing, but she would have to venture all the way up into welterweight territory in order to get that. So I don't know how realistic or viable that is an option anytime soon. So that Caroline Dubois is the best and most viable option for her. Facts or no, brothers and sisters? Why not? Why not? There's a dead zone at 130. Caroline is right there next to you at 135, baby. Ain't nothing but a thing to get to go ahead and go up there and take care of that. Go put her in her place. You know what I mean? Beautiful sport. I'm sorry, beautiful fight for the sport of boxing, right? It will do nothing but generate all types of interest, right? Because people, real boxing goers, are rocking heavily with Caroline Dubois because she's such a phenomenal fighter and she shows such potential and prowess and heat and fiery energy in that ring. I mean, she's just undeniable in that ring. She's beautiful in that ring. I love watching her fight. I love watching her having to dig deep. I love watching her box. I love, the ability that she has, knockout power, right? So that she's coming with so many facets to her game. It'll be wonderful to see how she exchanges in real time with the likes of Baumgardner, somebody who is, accomplished. She does, herald the title of having been unified champion. She has become undisputed at 130. So that, you have like against like to some degree, elite against elite, where we consider, these types of skills against the skills. Long story short, in my BFTB voice, the best fighting the best. That's what it's about. So, I don't understand what's going on there. We'll see how that unfolds. I thought that was quite interesting. Did you guys see that? Let me check in with the good peeps. Did y'all see that on social media, good people? Interesting stuff. Oh my goodness. Salute to the King of Kondo. He says, beautiful, sugar-free Mars. Infinite blessings to the King of Kondo. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you, King. Beautiful King says, she looks real duckerish. Don't she? Don't she? And I'm surprised. I mean, I'm not surprised, but I'm just, I guess a little bit put back by that because, as much as she was bopping her neck, you would have thought that she was saying, if you would have just mute the video, Beautiful King and brothers and sisters, if you guys would have just muted the video and watched her body language, watch her moving that neck around and snapping them fingers and clapping them hands, you'd have thought that she was saying, sign the motherfucking contract, baby girl. I sent you a contract. I don't want to hear a goddamn thing. Meet me on this date at this time in the middle of that ring. That's what you'd have thought she was saying the way she was going off. But it was quite to the contrary. She was saying everything except let's fight in my DHP, voice. Everything except let's fight is what that woman was saying in that video, which was crazy. I just don't understand that. I'm not going to hold you to any lesser standard because, I don't know, this is female boxing because, some people get that twisted as well. That the smoke is not supposed to be had between the ladies. Oh, absolutely. The smoke is supposed to be had between. This is what we're here to do. The warriorship is on the left side and the right side at all times. This is what they do. These are warriors. You don't get to, bypass that responsibility of having to prove yourself in the battlefield of your choice. No, go ahead and go in there and go ahead and go show me something. Go show it. Caroline is absolutely willing to do that. What is Alicia proving on a larger level, brothers and sisters, with the way she has recoiled from this particular call out, from this particular smoke signal from Caroline Dubois? What is she proving? Yes, you were undisputed. Yes, you did, did what you did or whatever the hell the case is. All credit to you. You absolutely deserve that. Salute to the beautiful sister, Alicia Baumgardner, for her accreditation and accomplishments. Absolutely. May she continue. Hope and wish the best for this beautiful sister. I ain't got no problem, right? But I do not like the cowering away from the certifying of yourself. You do not get to do that one time and sit pretty. Same thing in the same heat and the same pressure I got for Tank Davis. I'm going to put that on you and every other fighter, especially the ones we deem to be of any type of value and worth and esteem, right? You got to deal with that. Just like I'm going to stand 10 toes in the corner of Caroline Dubois for calling your ass out. You know what I mean? And if the shoe was on the other foot, I'd be looking like at Caroline, like, okay, honey child, are you going to answer this call or not? Why are you reticent? You know what I'm saying? This is warriorship. This is the, you know, the display of that type of heart and that type of courage. And Caroline is absolutely showing a level of temerity, you know, that can't be doubted at this time. She's with it. She's like, yes, let's get it popping. I want to compete. This is what I'm here to do. I'm an elite warrior. I want to do it at the highest level with you because of the things that you have proven. It has nothing to do about no pup or no, you know, non-pup or no whatever the fuck you think. Doesn't matter. I'm an elite. Come meet me. Let's do this. And I just don't like the recoiling away from that. Let me see what else the good people had to say before we check out. Beautiful King says, Caroline is prettier to me. Just saying. Yes, the beautiful sister, Caroline Dubois. She is absolutely beautiful. The King Uncommon says, Alicia's whole fan base is niggas. He says, she has their support because they want to smash. She better wake up, child. Listen. Beautiful King, really? He says, Champ Side put me on her too. Yes, he put a lot of people onto her. He's the first person that I've heard anybody speak about Alicia Baumgardner so resoundingly, you know, and then from there, I guess she kind of caught wind, you know, with the whole Clarissa beef back and forth and stuff like that. That really catapulted her over the past, I want to say 2.5 years or so. 2.5, 3 years, or however long ago that was. Interesting stuff. Salute to the King D in the building. I see you. Salute to the King DP. I see you. Peace and love to the King Jut. I got to salute the brothers. Blessings to you guys. Thank you so much for joining. Oh my God. King Uncommon adds another posit. He says, this is why Alicia posts content in a bikini, chilling on a yacht, getting rubbed down and oiled up by other women in bikinis, smacking her cheeks. And what? Oh, and what not? It's because her real fan base is men. I mean, it is. You know what I mean? And that, that is your core fan base. That's no slight to you. Your core fan base is men. It is. Your core fan base is men. It's not that women are not, chiming in. You know what I'm saying? It's not that women don't also take a liking to you and want to see you fight. Absolutely. But overwhelmingly, that fan base from the outset is men. And she ensures that it remains that way, right? She has no problem, assuming her sexiness and claiming her sexiness, which I like. You know what I'm saying? Do it. You want to do it in that way, go ahead and do that. Yeah, I mean, but we are not going to ignore the facts that predominant fan base is men, and the lambasting of them is, really, it's a detriment to your own kind of status and success, of course, because they are the bedrock of your viewership, right? Interesting stuff, you guys. Very, very, very interesting. Yes, I would love that, beautiful King. Fight Caroline in the UK and sell the fuck out of it. Sell it the fuck out. Yes, that would be wonderful to see, right? Especially because she said she already had, ventured into UK territory, and becoming unified and stuff like that. Go ahead and go back there and make it a big, huge fight with Caroline. That would be huge. Absolutely huge. Yes, exactly, twin. She was on Champ Side's intro. He put a lot of people onto her. 1000%. Wow. The King Nug says she keeps that tank BS up. She's going to run into a roadblock, right? It's very tankerish, that response. Very duckerish, as Beautiful King said. I don't like it. I don't like it. You know what I mean? She should use some of that goddamn neck bopping, to actually get some paper signed. Send her an offer. You know what I mean? It's no problem now. You guys are on the same goddamn, you know what I mean? You on the same goddamn promotional team. Easy ass fight to make. Easy fight to make. I see no problem with it at all. Beautiful fight for the women's division. I would love to see that fight. It's a fight that I would definitely support and back 1000% because it's two of the best. Right? And like I said, it's definitely time for Alicia to embark on some new territory. She can't fucking stay at 130 for goddamn ever. Especially when you already became undisputed there. Take your ass up and go conquer some new territory. What are we doing? It's definitely not out the realm of any shred of possibility for you to go conquer 135, where Dubois is at and where she's calling you to meet her at. You know what I mean? Let's get this work. That fight will do. You know how much better that fight will do than let's say that trilogy of Katie Taylor. Maybe the first one was huge, right? But that second and third one, that would pose a very competitive comparison, I think, comparatively speaking. It'll pose some competition to that second and third fight of Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. This would be a huge, exactly, Beautiful King. Exactly. It's the biggest fight in women's boxing currently. Alicia Baumgardner and Caroline Dubois. Absolutely. It could definitely generate, even more buzz and build throughout the year and something like that and close out the year. Let's say if you wanted to make it something, an end of the year, huge mega blowout. Yeah, go ahead and build that fight up. That would be the biggest, thing smoking. You know what I mean? I would love to see that fight. Put the egos aside and get it popping. I have no problem with the ladies talking their shit and saying I'm the best and let's get it cracking or whatever the hell the case is. You know what I mean? But when the egos get in the way of legacy and the attainment, not only of accomplishment, but the display of courage and valor and warriorship, raw warriorship. That's where I draw the line. That's where I have a problem. You know what I'm saying? All your shit talking should not dissuade you from smoke. It should push you toward it because you think this and this and that of yourself. It's not because you think this and this and that of yourself that you run away from. No, because I'm telling you that I am supreme. That's why I'm coming for your head, because you think you are the best and I cannot have that on my watch. You know what I mean? This is just levels in the mentality. And I think that was absolutely evinced between these two women and their disposition, right? Their reactions were absolutely contrary to each other, just like the matters in which Cora and Tio, or the matters in which, let's say, Tank Davis and his displays, what his actions have been proving versus that of a Devin Haney and his actions, right? Or whatever. All of these levels of how things get proven by way of people's pursuits, as I was denoting to you guys in the preface, right? How one pursues the aspect of the attempt is where the seed is, the seed of merit, the seed of valor, the seed of character on all levels, whether in the face of defeat and challenge or triumph and victory, whatever the case may be, right? But the attempt must be made. And if you refrain from that, how can one create oneself, brothers and sisters? That's why I named the title Until Proven, right? And that being proven does not, it's not a one size fits all. It cannot be applied to every situation. You must continually prove and create oneself. You must continually make the attempt. That is what is beautiful about boxing. That is what is beautiful about life. That is what is beautiful about creativity as a principle, as an element. Right? What are these athletes proving? And I think we saw some interesting examples of that in today's discussion. You know what I mean? I think I'm going to end it there. Don't want to hold you guys up for too long. I so appreciate the beautiful people for joining me today. Infinite love and blessings. I got to shout out the good family that I could name off top. Of course, first and foremost, my beautiful King BF to be one of my swords, right? I say that because he is one of the reasons why I had my own courage, why I made my own pursuit and attempt to embark upon boxing commentary. One half of the reason is because of the King BFTB. Salute to the beautiful King BF. Salute to one of my gunners and big supporters, the twin Daryl Anderson. Big love to the King Stephen X. Infinite blessings to the Queen Emma in the building. I see you, beautiful King. Blessings to the King Jut. Blessings to the King Uncommon. Blessings to one of my huge supporters, huge just energy. I don't even know what to call her. She is just so abundant and radiant. The Queen, Mama Love, Jaquila Fields. Big infinite blessings to my sister, Cameron Fields. All the brothers and sisters, DP. I see you guys. I'm kind of like scrolling and trying to name everybody, but we can't be here all night. The King Nubbs, the King Caldwell, the King Eric, all the brothers and sisters who showed up today. I so value and appreciate you guys for joining me for some wonderful boxing talk. I hope you guys enjoyed today's discussion. Definitely going to end it there. Have a wonderful, prosperous, peaceful week ahead, beautiful people. I can't wait to catch you guys on the next one. Definitely, if you guys haven't become a member of the channel, definitely consider becoming a member. Right? I have some things in the works that I'm conceptualizing for you guys exclusively for the members and only for the members. So definitely consider becoming a supporter. Keep in touch with me on the community page, right? You guys know I love to talk to you there. So keep an eye out for some things that I may be posting. Yeah, and that's it for me, you guys. I'll catch y'all on the next discussion. Big, big salute to the good family. Peace.